Welcome back here to RaceSpotTV and iRacing Live as pre-race coverage coming out at you here for your Raven Grafixx Need Speed Contender Series, and we are chase racing here at Richmond. Very first race of the chase. Our field of 12 is set. We're going to be going green for the Operation Gratitude 200 by Yosemite Mountain Escapes here in just a couple moments time. Ready, Chinnet, Jake Blackall, Heagle, bringing you all of the action here today. And well, as the last few seconds tick down before I talk to Jake, let's go down your starting grid here for the first chase round live from Richmond. Two chase contenders make up the front row. 31 machine of Brandon Holder, he takes pole with a 20.274. Keith Stewart, he sits in that second spot. He has already punched his ticket to the next round of the chase. We will talk about that over the 200 laps of motor racing action we have here today. Ed Zaghetti and Jason Sizlove, two more chase contenders make up row 2, with Doc Stout and Chris Jennings on row number 3. Christian Joyce and Tim Marlowe on row 4. Doug Lemons and Timmy Logwood Jr. row 5. Brent Keith and Perry Snelson row 6. Glenn Jameson and Burt Wilson teammates on row 7. Aaron Ames and Brad Patterson row 8. Brent Day and Paul Bliss row 9. And Sean Ryan and William Toney, they round out the top 20. Abe Bowden finishes qualifies 21st. The last of your drivers put in a qualifying time, and some interesting names down here near the end of the field. Randall Falks will start 22nd, Everett F. Lane 23rd, Ivan Schrum 24th, Ryan Lang 25th, James Torrey 26th, Timothy McQueen 27th, Bobby Everhart 28th, and James Hickson 29th. Jake, busy night of racing tonight here. We're short tracking it.
Yeah, we're short tracking it. Thank you, Eddie. Welcome, everyone. It's going to be interesting. The last time we've come here, both times we've had a little bit of drama come out of these races, and I don't think that will be the last time we ever see it, especially around here at Richmond. Just always under the lights, brings a little drama to this series. But Brandon Holder, Keith Stewart, Ed Zaghetti, and Jason Sizlove, top 4, all chase contenders. And for once, Jason Sizlove puts in a qualifying time, and he's up inside the top 5.
Let's take a look at your chase drivers, and this is one thing you need to be looking at if you're watching our broadcast. If you look at the trucks, they're going to have some blue trim. So they're going to have a blue trim on the front splitter, they're going to have blue trim over the front windshield, and they're going to have a blue rear spoiler. Those are the trucks that can be identified as chase contenders. We currently have 12 of them, and there's a little bit of, I don't want to say mix-up, but a little bit of a swap. Chris Brett had some personal stuff come up, and he's not going to be able to run more than likely the rest of the championship, so he relinquished his chase position to the number 92 of Timmy Logwood Jr. He puts himself into the chase, gets a little bit lucky on that one, unforeseen circumstances. But your 12 chase drivers, just to run them down: Keith Stewart, he won your regular championship. He punches himself into the next round of the chase after these 3 races. Then you get Randall Falks, Brandon Holder, Tim Marlowe, Ivan Schrum, Ed Zaghetti, Doug Lemons, Chris Jennings, Timmy Logwood Jr., as we said, Jason Sizlove, Glenn Jameson, and Brent Keith. Pretty much chase racing rules are fairly simple. You have to win in order to get into the next round, and well, the top 4 in each round, they get knocked out. Excuse me, the bottom 4 in each round get knocked out. Right now, those 4 people who are currently on the outside looking in already, they didn't get any wins. Logwood Jr., Sizlove, Jameson, and Brent Keith, Jake.
Yeah, pretty much the 4 trucks without a win straight away in that sort of bottom area. But the way this race is going to go, and the way this first round of 12, anything can happen. Obviously, the first night here at Richmond, and a lot of those guys are going to be looking for a strong run. Obviously, Jason Sizlove up already inside that top 5, so I won't expect him to be down in that bottom cutoff for too much longer, especially with Brent Keith as well behind him. So it will be interesting to see how this first race plays out as that pace car is about to peel left.
Pace car about to come in 2 pace laps here at Richmond because it's a 3/4 mile racetrack. The number 31 of Brandon Holder, he waits for that green flag from the starter stand. Green flag flies, and we are racing here at Richmond International Speedway. And going into corner number 1 for the very first time for the Operation Gratitude 200 by Yosemite Mountain Escape. Brandon Holder opens up a bit of a gap, and that number 58 machine of Ed Zaghetti already fighting for second with Keith Stewart. I think Keith Stewart here very likely just going to hop back into that 3rd spot and just cruise here, as it's still Chase Contenders rounding out the top 4. The number 99, he wants to move up as we get a little bit of a half spin down the front straightaway. That is, I'm not sure who that is. I haven't gotten a good look just yet. Aaron Ames, and that's going to be the first caution of the night. Interesting to see what happened here. I think this is just a mistake. Number 88 kind of did it all by himself.
Yeah, first caution of the night. The 88 looks like it's just done all on his lonesome. Yeah, no one there. Just literally lost the rear coming out of turn number 4. We saw this a couple of seasons ago. I think it was season 4 when we first broadcasted the Raven Grafixx Contender series. We saw a couple of trucks getting loose, and once again, another truck getting loose off of turn 4. This time, Aaron Ames.
Richmond can be a very difficult circuit for that. Turn 4, I won't say it's oddly profiled, but it can be a very, definitely a situation where you can have to fight a very loose race car. Most of my experience actually comes from the Indy car around this place as far as driving is concerned, but it seems like most cars, Jake, they really struggle with putting that grip down coming off that third and fourth corner. Just the way it's sort of curved, because it isn't a straightaway here. It's a lot like Michigan, or it's sort of a squash version of Michigan or Fontana. Come onto that front straightaway, and it's just a constant radius, and trying to get the power down on that, very difficult.
Yeah, it's always difficult, especially turn 4 at Richmond, especially with the way this track undulates off of that corner, and especially with the track grip tonight. 73 degrees track temp, 72 degree ambient, so it's actually pretty grippy out there, mind you. 73 degrees track. Surprised that they were losing it coming off of turn 4, but it's just that way the track moves, and like you said, it is pretty much a squished Fontana, or it's just Michigan. It's got that feel to it, but coming into this one, that's usually where you'll see that little bit of an issue, and especially down to 1, everyone diving down the inside. I think that's going to be your troublesome spots tonight. 3 and 4 usually always has a lot of trouble, and then 1, people diving down the inside, especially being the first race of the chase. People want to get the win and lock themselves in for the next round. Keith Stewart, he doesn't have to do that. He can sit and float and does what he needs to do.
Now, expecting mentally draining race here today. The mileage is a little bit shorter, 150 miles, but the lap count is up to 200. We saw this at Milwaukee, and what we know from the from our experience on the short tracks before, Jake, because it's such a high lap count, every single caution doesn't take a significant number of laps off the board. You think about most of the racetracks we do, which we run about 120, 130 some odd laps. A single caution, 5-6 laps, that's a little bit more of an impact than it is on this, where you practically double the lap count. So if we get a lot of cautions here today, like we just saw, especially if not a lot of people get taken out, and if it's just a self spin and no big contact, very likely we end up with a very long, very mentally draining race here today around Richmond.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the first time these guys have had a long, mentally draining race around Richmond, and it's happened before, and it could happen again tonight, especially just with the way the tempers flare here at this racetrack. And it is one of those things that longer lap count, and like you said, the caution laps, it just doesn't tick over. You feel like an eternity under caution, especially when you're doing 20-second lap times around here when you're going flat out. So these guys will be trying to prepare themselves for a long night in the truck, because it's going to be a long one from here on out, especially with only 6 laps in the book.
Coming back to green here, there's at least 1 chase contender in each of your first 6 rows, and now Brandon Holder, he gets to command the field, and he gets on that go pedal early, opens up a gap from that 58 of Ed Zaghetti up top, and they're fighting here amongst your top 5 already. You see all of those blue trims that we've not seen this season thus far, all fighting side by side, but Brandon Holder on the restart, Jake, opens it up, and look at the margin he already has as Zaghetti and Stewart, they fight door to door for second.
Yeah, he's gone out in front. Brandon Holder, the 16, couldn't get the nose where he wanted to through 3 and 4. Had to relinquish that battle to Ed Zaghetti. 99 of Chris Jennings had a look through 1 and 2. Not close enough and not able to do anything about it. Jason Sideslove now fighting with Doug Lemons in that 70 truck. And Doug, we know he's going to be the one to watch tonight here. He is very good on the short tracks.
Very good flat track program. That number 70 machine, he's always been dominant on the short stuff, and this is one of the opportunities he has to show that. Another one is going to be New Hampshire in a few weeks' time, but there's going to be some other things we talked about. Is Doug Lemons, he's going to be fighting with Christian Joyce. Joyce, not a fantastic starting spot for him, start 7th, and looking at the pace that he has, maybe should have started a little bit further up the field from that as he works himself gets himself back up into 6th. And number 70, we just amp him up on the short track, and he starts to fall here in the early runnings. Maybe he has a little bit of a long run truck underneath that 70 machine, but he's falling back, and he might just fall back to about 9th here as the 62 looks to cycle through, as well as Brent Keith. Glenn Jameson, he'll likely look keen to pick up a spot as well.
Yeah, he's just stuck on that high side at the moment, and stuck on the outside of Richmond in the early runnings is not where you want to be, especially when that track isn't rubbered in up there. So he's going to have to maybe try and squeeze the door on Brent Keith. He does so, and he's going to slot himself back inside that 9th position. But out in front, Brandon Holder is gone nearly a second now over Ed Zaghetti, who's trying to close the gap. Jennings up into 3rd past Keith Stewart. Jason Sizer running out the top 5, and he's got a little bit of company. Christian Joyce and Tim Marlowe starting to work their way up through the field.
And the two of them, they're looking very fast right now. And Tim Marlowe, someone who sort of had an unfortunate season thus far, came close to winning a couple of races, but the inconsistency we usually see for that number 28 machine really bit him this season as well as it did last. And because of that, he now finds himself on the outside of the chase looking in. He just picks up that 6th spot on Christian Joyce. Very well driven from him as they come off corner number 2 and into 3 and 4. But that 28 machine, always a potential contender season in, season out, Jake, but little mistakes here and there tend to take him out of it more often than not.
Yeah, it tends to take him out of it more often than not, but he's going to try and see what he can do. He did win that race early on in the season, which put himself into the chase, so now he's just going to see what he can do. Right now, looking to the inside of the 44 of Jason Sizov, entering turn number 3, gets the job done. Now, Christian Joyce going to have a look to see if he can follow through. Not able to do so, and another caution out on the racetrack.
So another early caution here today, and this is Brad Patterson, the 42 machine. His train of bad luck continues, and let's see what happened here. He may have gotten into a chase contender. No, actually didn't make contact as he spun with the 3 of Ivan Trump, but he did make a little bit of door-to-door contact with the 4 of Randall Fox, and that's sort of what started it. I think that little door-to-door contact may have actually broken something on that 42, Jake, because it really wasn't a hard hit. Granted, the 42 had a bit of damage before that, but as they came off the corner, 42, after that little touch, seemed like the truck just wouldn't go straight, and really not much Brad Patterson could do to hold on to that. And I don't think we got anyone else caught up into that. Who was that up on the top side in that blue truck? Bobby Everhart, good job to not get caught up in that. It's like scrape the wall, but another solo truck incident here tonight.
Yeah, another solo truck incident. It was interesting because Randall was on the inside through 1 and 2, and he just got loose. Must have just touched that yellow line on the inside, and it just managed to flick the truck up at the worst spot and throw him straight into the 42. And yeah, it's just looked like something in that left front has broken on Brad Patterson's truck after early damage to that left-hand side, and it threw him around on the backstretch. Good job from everyone else to avoid getting into that 42. But a second caution of the night, and trucks coming down on pit lane to get their first service.
Not all of them. Ed Zaghetti, he stays out. Doc Stout, Ryan Lang, Aaron Ames, they all stay out. Interesting that Aaron stays out considering he had that early spin. But one notable thing, Jake, how could you let me say that Tim wasn't in the chase? I should have known better.
Yeah, it's simple. I know, it's another one, Marlowe. I don't know why on mine I think because he's not running the blue banners at the moment, which may be something we'll have to chase up because yeah, he should be running the blue banners, and on mine I don't see him, which is why you would have got it's blue on the broadcast, so it's there, so at least that is there. So on mine I'm gonna have to do an update for Tim Marlowe, but he is there, he is in the chase. But yeah, he has had, to be fair, an up and down season. Even though he got the win, if it was a longer season, I don't think he would have been locked in. I think he would have been outside the top 20 in points. That's just how much of a bad season Tim Marlowe has actually had. So we'll see what he can do now that he's in the chase. It's sort of a fresh start for him. Now he can just try and focus on getting those results to make himself get through to the top 8.
What do you think of these strategy calls, Jake? Your top handful of drivers not coming on pit road: Ed Zaghetti, Doc Stout, Ryan Lang, Aaron Ames. 58 machine, though, definitely the name that jumps out at you. He, running up front, as it were. A little bit of a risk from him here to stay out like this, but maybe thinking fuel. Those Full Throttle Motorsport guys, we know that they work together very closely, but interesting to see such a different strategy from what the rest of the field is doing. And you would have thought if anyone from that Full Throttle Motorsports band would have maybe just not taken tires here or not come down pit road, I would have probably expected the 3 of Ivan Trump.
Yeah, it's one of those calls that's interesting. Of all the people to not come down pit road, or all the people that did come down, Ivan Trump was one of them. I definitely think he would have stayed out, but maybe just wants those fresher 4 tyres, especially where he is on the field. Just trying to carve his way through. Fresh tyres maybe the way to go for him, but obviously 2 out in front, Ed Zaghetti, Doc Stout, and obviously Ryan Lang and Aaron Ames all staying out. Going to see what they can do on the auto rubber. They only did around about 16 odd laps flat out, and besides that they had a caution, so see what they can do.
Aaron Ames, another teammate there from Ed Zaghetti, as we go back to green flag racing. So maybe the teammates already working together here. Aaron Ames is coming under attack, and he's already getting swarmed. Brandon Holder gets through. Now the 44, Jason Sizelev, he's going to get through. And up on the top side is that 88, and he's holding up basically half the field up there. Everyone on the top line losing spots right now because the old tires not panning out for Aaron Ames right now. Doug Lemons, he's going to get ready to go through the 99 and Jennings. He gets himself to the bottom, trying to make some moves as well. Tim Marlowe's going to be the next one to get held up here.
Yeah, they couldn't get by the 88 on the restart. The 99 really got held up. Now the 28 going to try and see as the 88 spins, and that's into Jennings. Chase Contender's involved, and that's a big wreck on the backstretch.
Big incident, and that has championship implications here tonight. And Aaron Ames for the second time today, and really it's pretty similar to what we saw from that first incident. He just sort of coming off the corner, the back end of the car just came out from underneath them, and unfortunately that number 99 machine, wrong place at the wrong time. Couple key names able to just cycle through, but a handful more not able to get themselves through here, and this has stark consequences on the chase already.
Yeah, already I think about 4 trucks got involved in that one. The 99 Jennings, 63 of Jameson got involved, the 92 of Timmy Logwood Jr., and the 3 of Ivan Schrum. We were just talking about how we think he may have had to stay out to try and get the track position or try and see what he can do with the fresher rubber. Well, right now that has hurt him. He has got a lot of front end damage to that truck. Jameson as well, a lot of damage on his race truck. So 4 championship contenders already going to be fighting hard to try and make it into that top 8 now after getting a setback here tonight.
And this is not what you want to see. I think that number 3 machine of Schrum, I think he actually had most of that damage before the incident. I think the 3 machine is sort of okay because he had a bit of a glancing blow, and then he actually came to a stop before the major pack of cars. But I think beyond that, I think he should be all right. But once we get a good idea here, let's see if we can go through the chase contenders that were involved. So we know the 3 of Ivan Schrum got a piece of that. Glenn Jameson we know got a piece of that. Timmy Logwood Jr., I believe, may have gotten a piece of that as well. So some big names here early, Jake, are already getting caught up in some trouble that they definitely would have preferred not to have gotten into.
Yeah, it's definitely where you don't want to be at early stages of this race, especially for those chase guys. Looks like Ivan Schrum's coming back out. Looks like most of that truck has got repaired. It was actually got a little bit into the back of Bobby Everhart, which actually was what cost him a little bit of right side damage. And then he actually got into Aaron Ames as well, just a little bit. I think he was trying to find reverse and was still in first. So just accidentally bumped the front of Aaron Ames.
I know plenty about not being able to find reverse.
It's one of those. It's actually harder than you think, but it's one of those things where Aaron Ames is just struggling with the rear of that truck. Twice now he spun. The 99 at Jennings, you feel sorry for him on the inside and had nowhere really to go. It was just unavoidable for him and just got wide swiped down that back straightaway. But now he's got a lot of damage. That's going to hurt his chase pretty much from the word go. Yeah,
and you know, you got to think 3-car basically a 3 race season or series, excuse me, rather, every single chase is. So you put the shoe in the wrong foot on that very first race, and especially in this first phase of the chase, this is not the phase that you want to have an issue, considering the first 3 rounds here, Richmond, Sonoma, Darlington, you go from curveball to curveball to curveball, and we know that there's some good road course guys in here. A number of those people that got caught up in that incident are not a lot of the good road contenders here in this championship.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not one of those ones where those guys can sort of just say, all right, I'm going to win Sonoma, I'm going to win Darlington. For those guys now, it's going to be hope one of the other guys gets involved in it. So I know you don't want that, but sometimes it's actually what you need to get yourself locked into the next part of the chase as the lights go out on the safety car, so the trucks will double file up for this time round. But it's going to be difficult. I think Jennings is in a really bad spot from here, and there's still a lot of damage to that 99 truck. And he looks strong. he definitely was under those trucks that could have made it through to the top 8 of this championship in the chase and maybe tried to do something with it. Jameson, a lot of damage on that truck as well, so another one of Evolution Motorsports not going the way they wanted straight away from the go.
So lights out on the safety car. We're going to be back to green flag racing 2. Well, pretty much the third incident we've seen tonight. Very, very interesting and very odd situations on the racetrack. Third place runner wants to get up and go, but Ed Zaghetti holds the field. Number 35 machine, Ryan Lang, pounded on the back door of Ed Zaghetti, and well, Ed Zaghetti makes him pay. He waits for Lang to get on the brakes, then he gets that pedal down, and Ryan Lang, aggressiveness at the start, and he's going to fall back from third all the way back to about 5th.
Yeah, that was an interesting restart. He was just beating the back tailgate of the leader of Ed Zaghetti, and now he's getting hounded. The 36 Christian Joyce around the outside. He's going to get clear now. Tim Marlowe side by side with the 35 of Ryan Lang, but out in front, that actually let Brandon Holder actually get a good little jump on that outside. Going to sit right behind Ed Zaghetti coming off of turn 2. Has a little bit of a peak coming off of the corner, but not able to get the nose to the inside of the 58. And remember, the 31 on fresh 4 tires. The 58 has not put any tires on that race truck tonight.
I think we're going to see that number 58 machine after a handful of laps. We're going to see that pace drop off, and I think Brandon Holder will inherit your race lead because of that. Those guys at Full Throttle Motorsports generally smart enough to know the ebb and flowing of the races like that. While they don't ever want to give up a spot, they know when a resistance is futile, as the board would say, is close fighting a little bit deeper down the field. A little bit of damage on the front end of that number 70 machine of Doug Lemons. He's fighting with Ryan Lang. He gets to the inside actually of Ryan, and he should be able to pick up this spot based on the new rubber. And Ryan Lang, almost a copy paste from our last incident. Well held though. He's going to lose a couple spots, but 3 chase contenders of Lemon, Sidelift, and Keith, their race life just pretty much flashed before their eyes. That was almost another big pileup on the back straight.
Nearly another big pile-up for the battle for the race lead. It is on. The 31 got around the 58 of Ed Zaghetti through 1 and 2 last time around. Now Zaghetti's trying to fight back, but doesn't have the tire life to do so. And Holder now going to get clear of that 58. Now try and pull out a little bit of a gap. 1 truck length as they cross the start-finish line. But behind, that was very close between Ryan Lane. That could have been a carbon copy. And a lot of those trucks of chase contenders, like you said, Randy, all in that little bit of a fight that they don't want to be amongst at the moment. Now Ryan Lang side by side with the 6 of Perry Snelson into turn number 3. Snelson to the inside, should be able to get clear. And now Randall Fox, we haven't spoken much about him tonight, already up into the 12th spot after starting 22nd. He's just slowly working his way through the field.
Yeah, you talked about the fact that there's a lot of chase contenders in this little gaggle. I count 4. You have Lemon, Sidelev, and Keith all in a row, and then you have Randall Fox, who's running his way up this order. Here he puts himself around that 35 machine, and he now actually fights with Perry Snelson, and is about to become 4 chase contenders here in a row here in just a couple of moments' time. And talking about that number 4 machine, Jake, he looked relatively quick, but you were watching qualifying. From the way you made it sound, he pretty much just spun off that 4th corner and wasn't able to get that truck slowed up. And basically the way he spun, by spinning, he throws away the first lap, and because he just slid past start finish, it would have started lap number 2. So because of that, Randall Fox didn't get a qualifying time, didn't even get an attempt in, as fighting for this 7th spot. Jason Sizer and Brent Keith, 2 teammates, and Brent Keith's going to take it, and now the 4 machine of Randall Fox is there, and I think he might make short work of both of these 2.
He's just making short work at the moment. He got around the 85 of Paul Bliss, now got around Jason Sizer up, and Paul Bliss is actually going to go down the inside of Jason Sizer and try and capitalize on that. He's going to get that job done, and so is Perry Snelson. Sizer going to actually slot in behind them, just thinking smart at the moment, playing this game patiently. They said they'd do that. They're not going to change the way they're going, and it's working for them so far to this part of the championship to see what the glove box can do. Now Keith is the next one on the target for Randall Fox in that 4. But yeah, coming off a 4, clipped the outside wall, a lot of damage to that right side on his qualifying lap, and he tried to slow it up, couldn't do so before the start finish line, burned both his laps. That's why he started down the back of the field, but the pace is still there in that 4 truck, slowly reeling in these guys in front.
Out of curiosity, did you by chance see what happened to that 16 machine? It doesn't have any damage, but your 2nd place qualifier, he was only amongst the top 5, top 10 earlier on. And we got actually another truck around. I think that's Ryan Lang. Indeed it is. Ryan Lang, very slow on the front straightaway. We're going to stay green here, but Ryan Lang, we saw him already almost have that incident early on, and this is pretty much the same exact situation he was almost in, just coming off corner number 4. Truck got loose, and he was just off the racing surface, and because of that, we're going to stay green here, but still people fighting with rear traction here tonight early.
Yeah, a lot of trucks fighting with that rear traction, which I'm very surprised at to see. But the 16 of Keith Stewart, I think just maybe a strategy call on pit road. Maybe just trying to keep himself out of danger. He doesn't need to really score any points when you think of it. And obviously, we haven't mentioned it yet, but the 16 locked into the top 8 of the round for the chase. He got that position because he was the highest point scoring driver for the first part of the championship. So that's why he is locked in. It makes it easier for himself, and it just shows the consistency that 16 has. So at the moment, he just needs to get through these first 3 races and just try and stay out of trouble.
So, drivers still fighting here. The closest fight up amongst your race leaders is between Ed Zaghetti and Tim Marlowe. This is the second and third, as we, retracts my earlier comment. Actually, we get a yellow here. Not sure where this is. Flow truck down the back straight. That's Sean and Ryan. And pretty much copy paste. Just sort of lost the rear end. I don't know. I don't think he was helped there. He sort of got some overlap with William Toney. Actually, you know what? He may have gotten some help from Ivan Trump.
Yeah, let's have a look at these coming through 1 and 2. And it's an interesting one. May have got a little...
Yeah, Ivan tapped it.
It's close.
Well, no, I think Ivan made contact, but I don't think there's anything dirty there. I think that was just sort of an awkward situation because the way it was sort of running there, William Toney was really, really slow on the top side of the racetrack, and Sean Ryan, I don't think was expecting to get any overlap, and I think that Ivan Trump didn't see the fact that there was overlap between the two of them in front of him, and I think Ryan was slower coming off the corner than Ivan anticipated, and it wasn't a heavy hit, it was just a very, very slight touch with everyone fighting for rear grip to where they are. That was just enough to send that number 29 machine around. I think Ivan just didn't see the overlap between the two cars in front of him, and because of that, that sent Sean Ryan around. Luckily for him, though, it was a relatively light contact to that left front, and I think that 29 will still be out and racing here, likely stay on the lead lap. He'll probably get some repairs, but beyond that, he'll be out there still turning laps. Yeah,
he'll still be out there turning laps. It's really one of those close ones, especially coming off a corner. You don't mean to get into the back of him, especially for Ivan Trump's case. And like you said, just had that tiny overlap, which hurt the exit of the 29 of Sean O'Brien, and that's all she wrote for him. And obviously, Ivan Trump nowhere to go, really, straight into the back. Ryan Lang actually staying out again, out in front of this field. Did he maybe come through and miss his box? It's interesting because he slid the tires a couple of times now. And
no, he hasn't been down pit lane.
No, he just sort of went around again. So maybe he's going to come down this time, but Brendan Holder re-inherited that race lead, now going to be sitting out in P2 at the moment. And Tim Marlowe, good stop from him in that 28 truck, got around Ed Zaghetti on pit road, now going to be sitting in that second spot.
It'll be interesting to see what this 35 machine does. He has no intent of coming down pit lane yet, and I'll be honest, Jake, I think this is a little bit silly from Ryan Lang. He's had a couple close moments and just saved that machine, and he just had a half spin coming off corner number 4 that just barely didn't bring out a caution. This just seems really like an ill-advised move to come out, stay out on that old set of tires that you're struggling on, not make any adjustments to the truck, and you know you're going to line up around a bunch of chase contenders. If that 35 machine has an issue, there's going to be a lot of people wanting to have a word with that 35 machine on pit road after this one.
Yeah, it's one of those things, especially from a driver's point of view. Obviously, I'm running another truck series over Thursday night, which is Thursday over here in Australia, and it's one of those things
we
where
have the same days of the week here.
Yeah. It's different, all right? It's not the same over there at the moment. I think it's Wednesday night. But it's one of those things where it's when you see a truck like that out there that you know have had a couple of self-spins, struggling with rear end grip, and you're going to be lining up next to him or a couple of rows back, and he is still on the same tyre set, you'd expect him to come down pit road. You'd be a little bit frustrated that he hasn't, and pretty much in this circumstance, not understand why he's still out there at the moment. So the 35, if you can try and stay out of trouble, maybe get a quick caution and come back down again. But yeah, I don't understand the strategy call, because right now the 31 of Brendan Holder is going to be lining up on the outside, and another couple of chase contenders straight behind, and Randall Falk's going to be starting on that row number 3 on the outside in P number 6.
Just from what I can see right now, Chase Contender behind him, outside of him, 2 on the row behind him, and then 2 rows deep, there's 2 more. He gets on that go pedal early, and this is gonna open up a gap. So a little bit wise in this one. He's not gonna be in a big gaggle of cars here early. Side by side though for second between Tim Marlowe and Brandon Holder as they fight for that second spot through corners number 1 and 2. That 28 machine on that inside line. The 31 is so strong, but look how quickly the 31, there it is. 2 cars go around. The 31 machine gets set in front of the field. Yellow flies, half dozen and so cars caught in this one. And 35 actually spins. Regardless, after the incident on the front straightaway, that's exactly what we were talking about. Just that pace differential, you know, really, really hard to justify the 35 staying out there.
Yeah, the 2 trucks on quick tires, the 36 got a piece of that, the 4 of Randall Folks got a piece of it as well. And it was more, the 28 was on the inside, the 31, and the 31 actually went to go low to try and get around the 35 of Ryan Lang at the same time, who actually self-spun coming to the stripe last time around. It was an interesting one, and there's not much those 2 behind could do. You think they're battling hard for a chase spot, and all they had to do was just try and get him clear. I don't know whether Brandon Holder knew he was clear on the 28, because he definitely threw it down the inside, trying to hope that he could maybe get some room, but the door shut.
That door got shut very, very quickly, as that's another handful of Chase Contenders caught up in that one. Of course, the number 4 machine of Randall Falks and that 31, the 2 notable ones. I believe that we have a couple others. I'm going to try to get a concise list of who actually got caught up in this. Couple key people who actually did a good job to avoid it. The 3 of Ivan Trum just got around it, as well as Brent Keith just missed it as well, but still very, very, that's some drama, I think, here in the first round of the chase already.
It's Richmond. This series in Richmond, they need to not go to Richmond. Keith, when you watch this one back, I think we need to get Richmond off the schedule for next season. It's this track, it always manages to bring the spiciness to this series, and right now, straight away from the word go, we're only just across quarter race distance. Brandon Holder leaving the pit lane now, a lot of damage to the pole sit of the 31 truck. He had some pace tonight, didn't he, that 31 of Brandon Holder. Already got 2 wins this season, looked to maybe try and get a 3rd and lock himself in that chase tonight. Definitely was fast. And so is the 28, Tim Marlowe, though, managed to avoid everything, really. He was sort of there on the inside, nowhere to go. You can't really put the blame on the 28. He just caught that piece
of it. Yeah, I don't really, I can't put the blame on the 28. I just think the 31 was put in an impossible situation, because the Ryan Lang was always going to be the cork in the bottle, and if that cork didn't pop and let everything flow through, there's always going to be an issue. And, you know, just to comment on why I think doing what Ryan did was so silly is just that we had that, you know, there was that slight touch with the 31, and then coming off of 4 well after the incident, under yellow, the 35 spun all by himself once again. So it's sort of like, if you're going to spin under yellow, maybe you shouldn't stay out on 4 tires under green.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, but yeah, you can't put the blame on Tim Marlowe now, even though he inherits the race lead. Just an unfortunate situation for him. But right now, Marlowe out in front, Zaghetti gonna line up alongside him, and that strategy call from the 58 early on, Rainey, has actually paid off. Even though he sort of didn't need to not come down pit road, and he could have come down, and I don't think it would have hurt him anyway, depending on, because obviously he was up inside the top 5 at the time. But it's just put himself out of the drama, really. The 58's sort of been in that spot where he's been the one that's been avoiding everything at the moment, and it's paying off for him.
Yeah, I mean, that's been well done by the 58 as a Getty. He's had very, very good pace thus far tonight. Qualified 3rd and was able to hang up out there on the old tires. As lights go out on the pace guards, will be green next time through. But just doing a little bit of a checkup here. Chase Contenders who have not had the night they would have wanted. You have Glenn Jamieson, Chris Jennings, Randall Falks. He's now 3 laps down. Brandon Holder, he's got damage from that last incident. So handful of big names there, and some other guys who maybe a little bit on the back foot from where they'd otherwise like to be. That said, lights out on the safety car, and we're 3/4 of the way down that back straightaway and a quarter distance into this one here. He said if you get a lot of cautions, it could be a long one. We're currently on pace for about a 2-hour race, which is long for your Grafixx East Peak Contender Series. Tim Marlowe in command of the field. He will get the green flag here coming off corner number 4, and again does a good job to gap the field. the leaders seem to have pretty much a card up their sleeve here, coming on these restarts, and into 1 and 2 they come. 3 wide, 62 ducks out, gets sent up the racetrack, and he's going to hold on to it. 32 of Brent Keith up on the high line. Not much he can do with this one. He's losing a lot of spots here early. Chase Contender falling back.
Yeah, 32, not able to do anything about it. Brent Keith just slowly dropping back, but he's able to get back going now on that high side. Going to try and round up the 62 around the long way. Timmy Logwood Jr. behind him. James Hickson as well in that 22 truck. Going to see what he can do behind them to try and see if he can gain a spot, but not able to do so at the moment. Doc Stout, actually, I think he's just going to pull out of that one, and he does. Down the back straightaway, just moves to the apron just to get out of the way of those chase guys. Didn't need to do that, but I think he thought it may have been better for him at that time. Just not able to do anything with that truck. And right now, side by side, Logwood Jr. has a look on Keith, but not able to do so. Going to have to slot him behind.
Ivan Schrum, meanwhile, he's throwing the moves on James Hickson. We mentioned the fact that Ivan got into one of those earlier incidents, and he has some damage on that truck. Some bent quarter panels, bent rear tailgate, but it's not hurting him too bad here as he moves himself up into the 8th spot. Keith Stewart going to follow through here as they try to get through James Hickson. Timothy McQueen going to be the next driver in line, and got a little bit of a gaggle here of chase contenders here up amongst in front of the field. Brent Keith, Timmy Logwood Jr., Ivan Schrum, Keith Stewart. Those 4, they run 6th through 10th as they come out onto the front straightaway, and number 28 machine doing a good job to separate from the 58 of Ed Zaghetti. Now that we've lost Holder, who looked so dominant in the early runnings, it seems to maybe be a bit of a 2-truck race here tonight between that 58 and the 28.
Yeah, the 58 and the 28 looks super strong, and Brandon Holder's still out there running around. Just a lot of damage to that 31 truck right now, sitting down and actually right behind
no track position.
Yeah, no track position gives the 78 a little bit of a bum coming off the corner. Just can't do anything with that truck at the moment. 31, a lot of damage to that rear end. You can actually make the move through 1 and 2, down in 20th spot at the moment, but in front of him there is a big gaggle of trucks. The 70 is involved in this one. The 7 just gets around to 33, Timothy McQueen. The 22 on the high side, a little bit of contact behind, nearly going 3 wide. That was between Bobby Everhart and Sean M. Ryan. The 22 is going to close the door, and there's nowhere for the 29 to go. Around they go, and the 24 is going to get involved in a little bit of a piece of that as well on the inside. That's going to bring out another caution here at Richmond.
I think the number 29 machine, he was there. I think James Hickson, he just slammed the door shut on Sean Ryan. I think he was maybe a little bit distracted by Everhart on the top side, because Everhart really drove it in deep up top, and I think Hickson maybe a little caught off by that. Didn't hear a spotter or something, but the 29 was there. He shut the door, and I think thankfully no big contacts there, Jake. Couple cars go around, but I don't think anyone's going to get race any damage from that. So even though, bit of a spinner, should see everyone come down pit lane who was caught up in that, but for the most part, I think all of those trucks involved, they're likely still running.
Yeah, mostly everyone from that should be likely running. A little bit of damage there from the 24 and obviously the 29 that spun to the inside. But besides that, strategy call once again from Ed Zaghetti, staying out under this caution as the 28 comes down pit road. So once again, and actually going with him, Ivan Schrum in the 3. So this is the first time we've seen the 3 play this strategy call along with his teammate. And maybe this is a good call from him. Try and get out of that little bit of a gaggle of trucks that he was among, because he was starting to get a little bit rowdy back there, and I don't think he wanted to be amongst it.
35 of Ryan Lang makes the same call, and we saw what happened last time he did that. Hopefully this time has some better consequences, but definitely interesting to see it, because Full Throttle Motorsports, they seem to be all aboard this boat of staying out like this and favoring track position. I don't think those guys are expecting to get a short run here tonight, because we saw the first time through the very first caution, it was Aaron Ames and Ed who stayed out, and now this time that 3 machine of Ivan Schrum, he wants to get himself out of that mid pack. And considering that 3, he wasn't exactly very deep down the field. He's only, maybe 8 or 9 trucks back, but the difference right now, the way these guys are racing here tonight, being 8th and being 3rd is a huge and stark difference at the moment.
Yeah, it is, and actually Keith Stewart has just played another call. He's actually thrown 2 tires on that truck, so I think he thinks the same thing as well, Randy, is what you're just saying. He doesn't want to be back there now. I think he just wants to be out in front and try and see if he can hold on to a good position out there, because definitely it's starting to get a little bit chaotic back there, and I don't think you want to be amongst it, especially as a chase contender, even though he's locked in. But 2-tire call, good call, moves himself up inside that top 5 once again. Now he can try and see what he can do from here. Besides that, yeah, Ed Zaghetti, Ivan Shrum, they're going to try and stay out of trouble. Ryan Lang, a lot of damage to that truck. He's going to be starting in that third spot. Then Tim Marlowe going to be the first truck on 4 tyres, and we'll see what he can do from that spot. The three in front, sorry, not really that older tyres, but still, the fresher rubber does pay off here at Richmond.
I think the main question mark is going to be the pace difference, and that's I think the 58 and the 3 are quick. We've seen from the 2 of them, the 3 of Ivan Shrum, he didn't qualify very well, but he was moving his way up through the field. Ed Zaghetti's been out front all night. I think the major question mark is going to be Ryan Lang, and if he's going to be that cork in the bottle once again. He's sort of the only person up front that we've seen not show that sort of race leading speed. But that said, 16 to Keith Stewart, he's on 2 tires. That's a big question mark as well. You also have Paul Bliss up there, another driver who's up a handful of spots from where he started. A lot of question marks here as we're getting ready to go back to green.
First round, the chase is really thrown it up, hasn't it, Randy? We've only just started, and it's already the chase is really out there. And when you look down, obviously Jennings out at the moment, Jameson out, Randall Folks is out, but I think you can surely bet he's going to come back and win next week at Sonoma. He is a bit of a road course specialist, so I don't think it worries Randall that much, but still it's a little bit of a worrying case being down there, especially when you got Brandon Holder only in 21st, last truck on the lap, on the lead lap.
I'm not quite as confident in Mr. Randall Fox next week as you are, and that's not anything against Randall, but you can't forget that 70 of Doug Lemons. He's a road course specialist in this series as well. Also seeing Keith Stewart be very quick as well. 50 Ed Zaghetti gets on the go pedal here, lap number 65 of 200 here tonight. The top 2 already banging doors, second and third already banging doors. That's Ivan Shrum and Ryan Lang as they go running off into 1 and 2, and Ivan Shrum going to lose out a little bit because of that. Ryan Lang holds on to second, and the 16 of Keith Stewart tries to slot himself inside that 3 of Ivan Shrum, and I think Keith might just be able to get around here on the 2 tires working out for him.
Yeah, 2 tires working out for the 16, and track position to the inside. There is maybe a car around in the background. Hopefully we stay green. The 3 going to try and push the 35 up the racetrack, does so. The 70 to the inside as well. The 28 is going to try and follow through as well. Chase Contender just trying to get around this lap truck, lead lap truck at that 35 at the moment on older rubber. Not able to do anything about it. The 28 now to the inside of Doug Lemons, and he's going to get that spot through 1 and 2.
Tim McQueen with a solo incident. He's got that truck back rolling out here, so look for maybe some lap traffic coming into play. The 58 of Ed Zaghetti has opened up quite a margin over Keith Stewart, but Keith looking very good on 2 tires right now. A lot of close racing up and down your top 10 as Ed Zaghetti continues to try to stretch a lead here. And the 3 of the 28 bang doors, the 3 machine getting physically harassed in this one. He's going to lose a couple spots because of it. Perry Snelson's going to look up the inside here in that 6 machine. They're going to fight door to door, but Ivan Shrum going the wrong way on old tires.
Yeah, Ivan Shrum getting bullied out there at the moment. Everyone showing him the door and trying to force him up the racetrack. The 3's just trying to wait out, trying to see if he can slot in front of Paul Bliss in the 85. Paul's not having any of that. Perry actually doesn't get a good exit coming off of the corner, so that actually bottled up that inside line. Nowhere for the 85 of Paul to go. Gonna have to sit in behind, and now Timmy Logwood Jr. gonna come and try and get amongst this one as well on the outside. Gonna see if he can try and flow that one there, but not able to do so, as Ivan Shrum stuck on the high side, battling side by side hard with Perry Snelson.
Perry, those tires I think it may have gone away or something, but he is not good on that inside line. We've not seen the top side of the racetrack really be the favored ways again. I think they just scraped coming off corner number 4. Good physical short track racing tonight here in your Raven Grafixx and East Peak Contender Series. They're going to remain door to door through 1 and 2. Paul Bliss wants to make it 3 wide as he gets a bit of a run, and no, Perry's going to shut the door. Perry doesn't get a good run whatsoever, so Paul has to check out of it. But the 3 of Ivan Shrum says, thank the Lord, I am through that gaggle and that mess. Now I can just cycle laps here in the top 5. Timmy Logwood, he's just about clear, but not quite as well, as Perry Snelson is still hanging on down on the bottom.
They're still hanging on as his position change for P number 2. Keith Stewart just moves high and wide and lets Tim Marlowe, the 28, through for that 2nd spot, but this battle is still going on. The 6 does not look like he has a good truck underneath him. The 85 goes to the inside, maybe a little bit of touch coming down the front straight. It was definitely close between the 6 and the 85. The 6 now shuts the door on the 32 as Logwood Jr. Bad exit off of turn number 2. Try to get around the 3 of Ivan Schrum. The 85 now to the inside. Going to see what he can do coming off of turn number 4, and that high side's just starting to come in off the corner. And I think it's just starting to rubber in just a little bit now, Randy, where they can actually hold it alongside a little bit longer than before. But right now, the 85 going to still fight and try and get that spot as the 6 self-spin off of the turn number 2. A lot of damage hits the inside fence, and that's going to bring out the second another caution, not the second.
Another self-spin here tonight. Still, everyone really fighting with the traction coming off the corner. And he didn't have any help. You're right. It's just another self-spin and pretty much T-bone that wall, and I don't think it's going to be quite night done for Perry, but a lot of damage likely in that number 6 machine. And aero maybe not so much a big issue, but I'd be really worried about the cooling under that car. And well, here comes the dice roll again. I think we're going to see a number of the drivers come down pit lane, but who's going to opt to stay out?
Yeah, who is going to opt to stay out? Let's see, the 58 stays out, the 28 down the pit lane. So the 58 must like the old tyres here tonight because it's working out for him, to be fair. And Ryan Lang staying out again in the 35 truck. The 2's got a lot of damage on his front. He's coming down. The 62, the 29, they stay out. Everyone else looks like they're coming down pit road. Oh, besides the 63 Jameson, but Jameson is a lap down. Oh, multiple laps down. Yeah,
those guys will be coming down next time through. You also had one of the lap trucks up there. Of course, didn't come down pit lane yet, but he would have been getting a lucky dog. That's Timothy McQueen. He was that self spinner that we saw in the background, drove down through the grass, and no yellow. But the leaders had just caught up to him to put him a lap down, so he will take the lucky dog. And I don't think that really took anything away from anyone. I was interested to see if maybe there's another driver a lap down that maybe have gotten a little bit of SOL there, just based on the way that fell. But no, everyone's pretty much running as they ran. And where Ryan Lang staying out again? He started 3rd on that last restart, right?
Yeah, he started, I think it was, 3rd, 2nd, or some. Actually, no, it would have been 3rd because we had Ivan Schrum as well that stayed out last time around. But now he's going to be starting on the outside. That 35 truck is just playing something tonight. He's trying to figure out what he can do, but it's not working. I think he just needs to come down.
That was my point, because he fell back down to 14th.
Yeah, he fell a long way down, and now he's going to be up there again on older tires again, compared to everyone else around him. So we'll see what happens on this one. Ed Zaghetti, though, this is a masterstroke from the 58 Zaghetti, to be fair. Just staying out of all the drama that's happening behind him, it's actually helping him a lot, especially being P1. You get that advantage coming off turn 4 on the restart. And he's really got on the old tyres, so to be fair, it's a really good call, and I think this is really helping his chase and his race here tonight, staying out there in front.
I'm actually surprised we didn't see the same here from his teammate of Ivan Schrum, because Ivan stayed out last time, and Ivan had okay speed. It's not the speed for Ivan that was the issue. He just sort of got isolated on the wrong side of the racetrack, and because of that fell about 4 spots, I was really, I was half expecting if Ed stayed out for that number 3 machine to stay out as well. A little bit surprised to see Ivan opting to come down and take tires. Did he take 2 or take 4?
Looks like he took 4 tires on that run. So yeah, 4 tires for the 3 truck. Yeah. So it's interesting, but I just think that obviously the 58 knows that there's going to be a couple of cautions tonight, and if history repeats itself, which it usually does here at Richmond, we usually have a lot of cautions. So the 58's just playing it how he knows he has to play it.
It's a good call from the 58. 58's showing that old tires, can be pretty competitive, and lights go out on the safety car, and he's just been shown restart and restart. He usually loses the lead after a couple laps, but we've not seen anyone blow the doors off since Holder has really fallen back way down the order. And keep an eye on that. Where exactly is he? He's still back down in 21st. That 31 machine maybe not rebounding the way you'd expect. A lot of damage for him, so that's unfortunate. And his chase contention definitely a favorite here tonight. But that said, lights out on the safety car. Field going to be doubling him back up, and we're going to be going back to green flag racing here in just a moment. Top 6. There's 5 chase contenders in the top 6. That one exception starts second. 58 of Brett Zaghetti gets on that go pedal, and that 35 machine already goes to the top side. Looks at 28 of Marlowe to look inside Ryan Lang here for second, and they're door to door already as they go running through 1 and 2. 16 of Keith Stewart is going to be the next one to get to Ryan Lang, as Ryan all sorts of loose off the second corner, and everyone should have seen that. And everyone's going to be, I think, scrambling to get by that 35. A lot of blue trim behind that 35 of Ryan Lang right now.
As the 92 of Timmy Logwood Jr. goes around, coming off of turn number 4, a self-spin there. I just don't think he wanted to get into the outside. I can't remember who was on his outside, but I think it was the 3 of Ivan Strum. It was. He just didn't want to get into this door of the 3. It just checked up a little bit too much, and around she went for the 92 of Timmy Logwood Jr. Only the solo car involved in that incident. Let's bring out another caution.
So Timmy Logwood Jr., even on the new tires, struggling for grip here, but as a result of this caution, just a very short run. I don't think we're expecting anyone to come down on a pit lane. We're going to step away here on RaceSpotTV and iRacing Live. We'll be back in a couple moments' time here to hopefully get you to half distance here shortly. Don't go away. Welcome back to RaceSpotTV and iRacing Live. Coverage continues here as we're now running lap number 85 of 200. Still under caution here. Expecting the lights to go out here either this time or next time by. But 35 machine came down on pit lane to get tires. I think that's the first time in a while we've seen him on pit road. And he is now locked. One lap down apparently. So that actually bit the 35 pretty hard there, James.
Yeah, I think he may have actually come to get some of that damage repaired that he had on that racetrack, because it looks like the rear end is a little bit straighter than what it used to be. So I think he may have come down, maybe got a little bit of damage repaired and actually locked himself on that down. He couldn't get out in front of the pace car, but the lights are out on the pace car. Going to roll them around one more time. We should be able to get them green. It was 58 and the 28 on that front row, the 70 and the 16 on row number 2. That's Doug Lemons, Keith Stewart, Ivan Strum in that third spot, then Brent Keith in 6 in the 32. The top 6 all Chase Contenders.
Yep, Chase Contenders first 3 rows, and Ivan Strum is 5th, not 6th. I think you get a little bit mixed up, but this is going to be an interesting restart. A lot of fast trucks have cycled their way to the front of the field. Handful of different tire strategies here, and we're not even half distance. Hopefully we can get a bit of a green flag run here tonight. Pace car down on a pit lane. 58 of Edzagetti gets on that go pedal, and again, he jumps the field. 20 to Marlowe, not much he can do about that. Same with everyone else as they go running off into 1 and 2 here for the 87th of 200 times here today.
But remember that the 58 is on old tires. See what he can do out in front. He got a good jump on that restart. The 28 is going to slot in a second. Going to slot in front of Doug Lemons, and Ivan Schramm looking to the inside of the 16, and the 85 is looking to the inside of the 32. That's 3 with a grip off the corner of turn number 4. Gets the run. Going to go down the inside into 1 and 2, and I don't think the 16 and Keith Stewart's going to fight hard, and he doesn't. Slots in straight behind.
Spin in the back, and think that's the 24 machine of Everett Lane, who's around. Not sure who else is it. That's actually Timmy Logwood Jr. So your new chase contender, he gets caught up in an incident. What happened to the 24? This happened in front of the 92. Oh, the 22 just coming up the inside, deep on the brakes from James Hickson down into that 24 machine. Caught that quarter panel, and really the 92, nowhere he could go there, but big dive there from the 22 into 1 jig.
Massive dive from the 22 down into turn number 1, and the 24 sent around in a big way, and the 92 of Timmy Logwood Jr. inherits that chase spot and has nowhere to go there, coming through 1 and 2. A lot of chase contenders getting involved in incidents at the moment. I think it's actually better to stay out if you're amongst those guys, but we'll see what happens this time on pit road. But that's another caution. I've sort of lost count now at what caution number it is, so it's just another caution for tonight. There's the 71. Looks like he's going to be the first truck to come down on the pit road.
A couple cars come down on pit lane here, but really not long green flag runs happening, so really track position in this sort of race, track position is favored over everything else. I really think I am expecting here the number 3 machine. If we get a run, Jake, I think Ivan Schramm will get out front very quickly, because you've seen what Ed Zagetti is able to do out there. Ivan likely under very similar, if not the same exact equipment, and we saw him be strong on the old tires. I think now on new rubber, I think that 3 machine could be strong. I think Doug and Tim might just have their work cut out for him.
Yeah, I definitely think Ivan Schramm's got some pace, but he's got to get there first, and that's been the issue. Starting down in 24th position, it wasn't the start that Ivan would have wanted, but he's slowly starting to make some ground and slowly making his way up to the front. Doug Lemons Marlowe's been super quick tonight, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's going to try and see what he can do with that 58 truck out in front. But yeah, definitely, we know Doug Lemons is quick, got a little bit of damage to the rear end of that 70 truck. Ivan Schramm has been involved in incidents tonight, and now going to see what he can do out there. Now he's sort of got a cleaner racetrack than what he does. Holder actually just then coming off the pit lane, a lot of damage to that racetrack. He's still trying to get some of that repaired to see if he can make something out of this night.
There is one thing good from this night, though, Jake, and that's the fact that the flagman's flag waving arm is going to be super buff after this one.
Doesn't even need to go to the gym after tonight. Maybe I'd have a week off. Because
yeah, why lift when you can wave flags? It's going to be super ripped on one side of his body.
It's going to be a He-Man on one side, and the other side is just going to be a twig, but
yeah, it's going to be He-Man on one side and Jake Blackhall on the other, right?
Yeah, pretty close. That'd be about right. Especially with an injury.
Was T Savage here as we're still cycling under caution here. Most of your front runners not choosing to come down pit lane. No surprise there. But still a lot of laps getting logged under caution here. I mean, we're almost halfway, Jake. And we mentioned that we got a lot of cautions. It could be a long run. We're 9 minutes from an hour here.
Yeah, we're 9 minutes from an hour, and we're about 8 laps from halfway. So at this rate, we're going to be just getting to halfway around an hour mark. So if it stays the way it has been, looks like it'll be a 2-hour long race, which is a very long race for these guys, and that's mentally draining in these race trucks. And it's one of those things that we always mention it, and Rennie and I always do mention it, with the mentally draining in a race car. And you sort of think, oh, it's sim racing, but looking at a screen or a VR headset for some people out there, being in that sort of environment and being that strained and concentration for that long, it's more taxing than I think a lot of people think. And especially for these races, for these guys out there, especially when you're racing door to door with someone and you're racing like that for 2 hours. I know you got some cautions to break it up, but it's still mentally taxing. And it sometimes just drains the energy straight out of it, that you have to actually just lie down after a race.
Even under caution, it might break it up, but under caution, it can just be sort of dull, and you can get sort of the tunnel vision effect just in the caution. The pace car comes down a pit lane. We'll expand on this in a moment, but 58 of Edzagetti gets on the go pedal once again early in the same place as he always has, and no one's picked up on it yet. Green flag flies. They all go running down into 1 and 2, and the 70 Doug Lemons looks to the inside of Tim Marlowe. A little bit of a wiggle there from the 70, but he gets it back up underneath them. But that little checkup is going to allow that 28 to hold on to that second spot, as now Ivan Schrumm's going to slot himself into third.
Yeah, the 3 truck around the outside through 1 and 2 did a good move on the 70 and got the job done. It was helped by the 70 having that little wiggle, but he got the move done nice and cleanly behind the 2 side by side with the 44 of Jason Sizer. This is for just inside the top 10. The 6 of Perry Snelson is going to have a look as well, see what he can do. And they got Burt Wilson for company on the high sides 2 by 2 for these guys coming through 3 and 4, and they're going to sort themselves out coming out of turn number 4.
Let's see what can happen here, as I really do have a keen eye on this number 3 machine and the pace he might be able to show. As the 58 of Edzagetti's still out there on older tires than everyone else. And, you know, it's important to remember that we've had so many cautions in a row here that might be something to forget here. That's easily forgotten here, but Ed's doing a good job keeping just out in front, keeping pace with that 28 of Tim Marlowe, and Ivan not showing quite the pace I think expected. That 28 machine looks bad fast right now.
Yeah, the 28 I think has the box seat. We saw that from the word go. That 28 was a quick race truck, and right now working the back tailgate of the 58 of Edzagetti, trying to see if he can hold on these older tires. Ivan Schrumm's just sitting there around about a second back at the moment in that 3rd spot. Keith Stewart got around Doug Lemons last time round as well, moved himself up into 4th, and he's going to try and close down that gap to the 3 for P number 3. But right now the 28, just a watching brief. I think he has the pace to get the move done, but I think he just wants to see what this 58's got.
And he looks to the inside here, the 58, and Edzagetti's going to give it to him. Doesn't even fuss over it, as Full Throttle Motorsports will now run 2nd and 3rd. Tim Marlowe inherits the race lead. Ryan Lang, lap truck, currently going to be in the way. The 58 actually is going to fuss for it, throws it back down the inside here into 3 and 4, and Tim Marlowe going to do a good job to fight on the outside and hold on to that. A little bit of surprise there for me from Edzagetti there, Jake. He let Tim go relatively easy when he made that move. Surprised to see Ed kind of go up the inside like that there. As the 16 and the 3, they're fighting hard through 1 and 2. A little bit of contact there. Not sure what happened, but little door-to-door contact in that 3. Got pushed up a little bit, and he's going to fall back because of that.
Yeah, the 16 going to make an aggressive move through 1 and 2, and that's going to move Keith Stewart up into the 3rd spot. Interesting move there from the 16 and Keith Stewart. Haven't seen you fight like that for a long time, but the 3's just getting bullied out there. Now drops to the 4th spot, just in front of Paul Bliss, who's been quietly making his way through these chase guys. The 32 now running up in front of Doug Lemons. Lemons has no pace on these shorter runs, Randy, and it's definitely hurting that racetrack in his obvious track position.
Spinner in the 35, Ryan Lang in 1 and 2 in front of the field. We might see a couple guys get some contact, and yes we do. We get a little bit of a secondary incident, but the 35 machine, I think, maybe lost it all on his own here and in front of pretty much the entire field. Stationary, most of the field did a good job to get around him, but a handful of trucks not so lucky.
Yeah, a couple of trucks not so lucky. That was further back in the field. Looks like Timothy McQueen got a piece of that, and yeah, it's just a self-spin through 1 and 2. A couple of other trucks that all managed to avoid him. Hickson, I think, got massively into the 87. The 33, Timothy McQueen nowhere to go, but the James Hickson in the 22, I think, drilled William Tony as well, not being able to check up in time. A lot of damage to the 87. The 29 got sent around as well. That was a separate incident that saw a couple of trucks spin off in turn 2, but yeah, self-spin there for the 35 of Brian Lane.
Taking a look here at pretty much all the incidents we had there. Unfortunate for sure that it happened like that. Actually really interesting to see the 22 not able to get that truck slowed up the way he did. Caution should have been flying, and well, I mean, William got it slowed up. I don't see what the 22 couldn't have, but who knows here, as it's a bit of a full moon sort of night here tonight, as Keith Stewart's going to take the late race lead. I think for the first time in a long time, we can say that Edzagetti's on pit lane.
Yeah, Edzagetti is on pit lane, so is the 28 of Tim Marlowe, and Tim actually is going to beat the 58 out. And I remember that they swapped positions out there on the racetrack, so of course Tim Marlowe is going to beat Edzagetti out if the pit stop is clean for him, which it is, and Paul Bliss going to come out. The 3rd truck, 4th truck is going to be Doug Lemons, who I think just needs to try and find a short truck, a short race truck in there, because it is hurting him at the moment. Ivan Schrumm looks like he has got a speeding penalty. It's dropping him to the end.
That's a pretty big mistake from him, especially the sort of race we've been having, Jake, because not a lot of ways you can really make up positions here tonight. You're not, you know, we're getting 2 or 3 laps and then caution, and 3 or 4 laps and then caution. It's sort of one of those issues where if you're Ivan Trum, he's really going to need to see about a 40-50 lap run probably to have any hope of overcoming that little mistake that he just made on pit road.
Yeah, and it's going to take a while, but good news, we've passed halfway. We're now 104 laps in the books as Ivan Trum slows down to try and let the field by to get his tail end of the longest line penalty, and Keith Stewart out in front. And another good call from Keith. He had really good pace, and I think last time he came down pit road he only put 2 tires on that truck, so that 2-tire call really helping the 16 at the moment, maybe also helping with the handling of that truck, just maybe putting the right sides on it. It was 4 last time, as Hugo corrects me, thank you, and what would we do without you, Hugo? Once again, working the cameras, he does a marvellous job of that.
We'd be a lot less racially diverse without Hugo.
I'm just not going to say
I'm not wrong.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But yeah, Keith out in front now. So 4 tires last time, and it helped whatever he did on that pit stop cycle then, because the 2-tire call worked, and now the 4-tire call worked because he had some pace, because he was closing in on that 3 for that 3rd spot. So lights are still on that pace car, should go out when they cross this time round, but Keith Stewart, Tim Marlowe, Zaghetti, and then Bliss is going to be the top 2 racers.
Now you're sort of the resident truck expert here, Jake. You dominating the Australian Truck League, and I don't know if you are or aren't, but I'm just going to say you are, and whether or not it's true, well, I'll let you decide. But how long do you think they can go on fuel from here? Do you think they can make it to the end, or do you think they're going to owe us at least 1 more stop?
I think with the way it's going, you're going to do 1 more stop. I personally would, even if I was in this position, because the fresher tyres are always going to be a benefit. We've seen Zaghetti manage to make it work, but it's just the fresher rubber is always going to be your factor here. So I think you get it maybe 1 more stop in this one, and then I think from there you should be alright. But roughly around about 20-30 odd laps and you should be alright from there.
So lights out, pace car comes onto pit lane, 16 to Keith Stewart. He wastes no time getting on that throttle pedal, and pretty much like everyone, we've seen everybody get on that who started from the race lead here, restart very, very early here, 3 wide, a little bit deeper in the field, but they get themselves 2x2 here, going into 1 and 2. 28 to Marlowe fights with Ed Zaghetti in the 58. Marlowe's going to reign supreme, and 16 to Keith Stewart leads as they come off 4.
There's 16 still leading, but here comes Tim Marlowe with the 4 fresh tyres on the outside. Going to see what he can do coming into 1 and 2. He's close enough to maybe have a little bit of a look through 3 and 4 this time. If he can get a good exit off the 2, he should be able to capitalise on it, and he does. A good exit from the 28 and the 16, puts a big block going down into 3 and 4. Not close enough to get the nose down to the inside, but Marlowe run off of turn number 4. The grip is going to come to him, and he's going to throw it down the inside into turn number 1 and get the job done. And now he's 16 going to slot in front of the 58 to Zaghetti.
But did the 58 get a good enough run coming down the back straightaway? No, I was going to say he might just have a look into 3 and 4, but not quite close enough. Tim Marlowe leads here over halfway, 90 laps to go as they cross the stripe. 58 Zaghetti looks to the inside at Keith Stewart, and that 58's bad fast. He's going to pull up alongside, and I think he'll almost get clear as they come off the corner. Not quite there. Now they go into 3 and 4. He should be able to get that job done. 16 to Keith Stewart should look to cycle himself behind that 58 and in front of the 70. That's exactly what he does.
Yeah, good move there from the 16 to Keith Stewart just to slot himself into that position. He knows that he just needs to sort of keep out. He's on the older tyres, but right now the 70, going to see what he can do behind him. Paul Bliss having a good, quiet, strong run in that 85 truck now inside the top 5. And James Torrey now going to be the first truck on the outside of that top 5 looking in. And behind, just an update on Ivan Trum. He's got a couple of trucks side by side in front of him. That's Christian Joyce and Jason Slides up. He's currently in the 12th spot.
So 3 Machine already looking to bounce back, and he's done a good job thus far, but they're fighting in front of him. The 44 of Sideslow with the 36 of Joyce. The 44 is, of course, the Chase Contender. Joyce is not here as they work themselves off corner number 4, and no door quite yet for Ivan Trum. He's just going to slot himself back in line for now as Tim Marlowe and Ed Zaghetti slowly gapping the field, but that 28 Machine showing how strong he is right now, Jake, gapping that 58 on new tires.
Yeah, the 28 we knew was strong, and now being able to see it on same sort of rubber, same sort of situation in terms of strategy between the 28 and the 58. The 28 just has ultimate car speed at the moment, doesn't he? 9 tenths out in front. Keith Stewart sitting there a couple of tenths back as well, about 7 or 8 from Ed Getty in second. And Lemons has got a little bit of company with Paul Bliss. 85 truck looks like it goes high through the entry of 3. Now going to try and get the run coming off the turn number 4. He did so, but the 70 just placed that truck in the right spot. The 85 nowhere to go at the moment, but he is all over the back of the 70.
That he is. Doug struggling a little bit in the 85. I think does a good job. Jason just underneath him here, coming off corner number 2, and Paul Bliss looks to the inside of Doug Lemons, and Doug Lemons goes to the Larson line to let Paul through. Not even gonna fight with that one. So move Doug Lemons now back into that 5th spot. Here is still fighting up and down the field. Ivan Trum still not quite bouncing back the way he would like. He's still fighting with Christian Joyce as they run through 1 and 2, but 36 machine super good off that top side. I don't know if that number 3 machine, Jake, has a little maybe of engine damage or something, but he is not pulling off the corners the way he needs to be right now.
Well, we know that 36 quick from the word go. He was up inside that top 5, got caught up in one of those early incidents. So the 36 is a quick race truck, just hasn't been able to show it so far tonight. Now, just you can see him, he's just worked his way around Perry Snelson stuck on the high side. You can see the run off the corner isn't that bad from the 3. I just think he's battling with the wrong driver at the moment. That truck at 36 on the high side is just so much stronger out there at the moment. Just able to get off the corner so much nicer and cleaner, because the 3 had no issue then passing that 6 coming off the turn number 4.
44 Sidelow fighting with the 7 of Burt Wilson off of 2, and well, top side coming into play here, and this is the longest run we've had in a long time here, Jake, and we're starting to see that top side get relatively strong here. You see the 36 machine. And Paul Bliss is around. Sorry, yeah, Paul Bliss is around. Not sure what happened here. We're gonna stay green.
Oh, self-spin. He was
all over the apron, yeah.
Yeah, just got too much of the apron and round it went. And that's so unfortunate for the 85 of Paul Bliss. He was having such a strong run. He manages to stay on the lead lap. He does, but Tim Marlowe is right behind him. But yeah, unlucky there for the 85 of Paul Bliss.
So 85 machine needs to hope for a quick caution here in order to stay on the lead lap, because Tim Marlowe is absolutely flying. Last time, well, actually, no, I take that back because we're going to compare lap times, but he spun last lap, so we won't do that just yet. But fields starting to get themselves somewhat separated, but we're starting to see, Jake, that top side of the racetrack really come into play as the tires are getting a little bit of wear underneath them now here about 10 or so laps into this run.
Yeah, it's always going to be benefit on the inside, but if you can hold it out on the high side and you have a little bit of a better truck, you can do so. And we saw it with the 36 and the 3 actually, who dials it in to 3 and 4, and he just made up 2 spots. Sideslove gets loose, and he's going to actually make contact with the 3. Sideslove facing the wrong way down the front straightaway. That's going to bring out another caution of the night. A little bit of damage between the 44 and the 3, but he should be able to spin it back around and avoid any major damage.
Been an interesting little incident there. It's sort of unrelated. The 3 machine, that sort of initial loose moment going into turn 3, he just dove it in. I think he may have locked up a rear wheel, maybe got a little bit of wheel hop, and that 3 machine got all sorts of sideways, and he pushed right up the racetrack, and then in a completely separate incident, the 44 lost that back end, spun around, and just basically went up and ended up clobbering the 3 machine. Sort of no... You know, it's not like there's any dirty racing going on. It's just 2 separate personal incidents that really unfortunately brought the 2 together.
Yeah, it really just brought the 2 together, and they didn't mean to, but it's just what happens. The 44 got really loose, and he did save it coming down the inside, but then just snapped back and went straight up to the high side of the racetrack. And nothing that Sizeoff could do except try and save that racetrack, and he did a good job of trying to do that. The 58 once again stays out, so he doesn't come down this time. He's going to stay out around lap 125 now as they cross the start-finish line. So 75 laps left to go in this one, and that's roughly about where I would come down pit road, put my final bit of fuel in the truck, and see what you can do from here.
I think this would be a good point for everyone to likely come down on pit lane. Some interesting things though. Ed Zaghetti, he stays out. I think we have a couple notes. Those are all lap trucks. The 44 machine actually, that's actually really unfortunate for Jason. Jason's having a good run, but the way he spun there, just the timing of it is just, he unfortunately lost out and is now locked 1 lap down. So that's really hurts for that 44 Sizelow.
Yeah, it really hurts Sizelow, but you can actually put in a sort of when you look behind him, even though he is 1 lap down, when you look behind him, you've got obviously Jameson, Randall Foulkes, Jennings. That's 3 already chase contenders that are behind him. So it's not going to be that bad of a run here tonight. If you can get that lap back under another caution, then he should be able to make up some more spots.
So field cycling themselves under yellow once again here, which has pretty much become commonplace here at this point. Trying to get a count here of how many cautions we've had. I haven't been keeping track really, well, because I can't count.
I lost count.
But we're over halfway, 75 laps to go, and I definitely think you're right. This is sort of the window where you would want to come down, take that last bit of fuel. You should be able to do about 70 laps here. And really, I think fuel's going to be, I think this is the sort of race where fuel's going to play a bigger part than tires is, just because if you can make it to the end, there's no way you're ever going to come down on a pit lane.
It's interesting. I know I'd come down if I needed tires, if we had a long run around and you can't get another caution around that 160. I think I chuck some tires on just then to the end, just run that and see what you can do with that. But right now the 58 is to get. He's going to play it right now. I'm going to see if he can stay out there, out in front. And Hugo's just giving us more than 8, I think. So I think we've all lost count here in the booth.
I'm counting, and I've counted 7, and that was 60 laps ago. So I think we're at 11 or 12. I think is the total thing. Hugo and I just did the same thing. We were trying to just look at the lap times to be able to tell, and we both lost count. I got to about 7 or 8. So I think we're at 11, 12. Still a lot of laps left. Hopefully under green, but that's no comment. But let's go out on the safety car, and once again, a lot of chase contenders find themselves up front. And actually, most notably, look who finds himself in 6th. 31 of Brandon Holder. He's come out of nowhere, Jake.
Come out of nowhere once again.
Take
and I'm doing the same
5th.
thing. 5th, yeah. So I'm doing the same thing right now, trying to count how many cautions we are under. I think this is caution number 9, because I'm counting a lot right now. Yeah, so it'd be caution number 9, or number 10 actually of the night. So a lot of cautions just coming up to 3/4 distance left to go.
Still not as bad as Martinsville a couple seasons ago that went over 20, but green flag flies here. Ed Spaghetti once again on the restart, controlling the field. He's brought the field to green so many times tonight. And actually, once again, Jake, the 3 machine of Ivan Trump finds himself last in line. Maybe speeding once again. I actually missed out. We were talking about...
Oh, the 31 loose, sorry, off of turn number 2. Sorry to interrupt you there, Randy, and yeah, we both missed the 3, but that was close. That could have been ending again for Brandon Holder.
So 31 of Brandon Holder, a very, very scary moment, but he's able to keep it underneath him here. But the 3 of Ivan Trum, really it's been such a weird day for him in that full throttle motorsports machine, because he's been up front in amongst the leaders most of the day, but he's made a handful of mistakes that have put him on the back foot, one of which would have happened in qualifying because he had to start so far down the order. And then this is the 2nd time we've seen him have to go to the end.
Yeah, 2nd time he's got a speeding penalty on pit road, and that's going to hurt him once again as the 32 side by side with the 36 Christian Joyce. Brent Keith in the chase, going to see if he can make up that spot coming off of turn number 2, and he does so. The 78 Brent Day in front of them as well. Going to see if he can try and get around that truck that's sort of in a quiet full throttle motorsport truck tonight, but he's managed to make his way inside that top 5. But Brent Keith going to try and make short work of him down the inside into turn number 1 and gets the job done.
A lot of damage on that number 78, so not surprised whatsoever to see him falling like a stone at the moment. As you see the 36 and the 31, they're going to be the next 2 drivers to cycle themselves through. And we talked about the speed of the 28 machine of Tim Marlowe, who just put himself into the 2nd spot. Look at the gap that Ed Zaghetti has been able to open up here. We saw Tim Marlowe open up a similar gap last time through, and now Ed responds on this restart when he has control.
Yeah, if it's a 10 on lap run to the end, Randy, I think the 58, if he's going to stay out, and he does stay out and he's in the lead, I think it's going to be hard to catch him. He has been so dynamite on these restarts, so right now he is just out in front and just still holding that gap, even over Tim Marlowe on fresh rubber. So he has Hickson coming up off of pit lane after a pit stop on a green, so that's going to be another lap. Traffic among the field should be able to slot him behind the 16. He does so, but it's just one of those things. The 58 has been back good on the older rubber. He hasn't had to come down pit as many times as everyone else, and he's paying out.
So that said, 58 Ed Zaghetti is hemorrhaging time right now. Last time through, a 1/10 of a second fell the way of Tim Marlowe, and you can visually see the gap just coming down. Here they come off corner number 4, and I think it's going to be another couple tenths falls away of that number 28 machine here. They come across the stripe, and yes, indeed, 2/10 of a second go in favor of Tim Marlowe. So I mentioned the big gap that he has. Well, maybe that came from that 16 being in second, holding at the 28. And now Tim Marlowe's knocking on the door.
Yeah, Tim Marlowe is there now, isn't he? He's going to try and see what he can do. Coming off turn number 4, close, but no cigar coming off of the corner. He can't get the nose down to the inside. Yes, he can through 1 and 2. Zaghetti going to open the door for the 28, but he's going to fight him hard for this one. He knows this is now the final stage of this race. He doesn't want to get too much away, and he's going to still fight side by side coming through 3 and 4. But look at the grip off of that corner, Randy. Now that top line is starting to rubber in.
Especially coming off turn 4. Coming off 2, it's not quite so good, but the 4th corner is really good. And the 58 of Ed Zaghetti is going to try to diamond off the run here, and he actually yellow flies. And Paul Bliss is the one who's around here on the front straightaway. But I think we're going to just about be in for a fun fight. The 85 of Paul Bliss pretty much self-spun there. 3-5 and Trum gets a piece of it just to cap off the bad night he's been having thus far. Constantly on the back foot, wrong place, wrong time. That's the 2nd or 3rd incident in a row for Ivan that he's just wrong place, wrong time.
He can't find a spot on the racetrack where he's not going to get hit or anything. He got a little bit of contact before that with the 29er Sean M. Ryan, and then just then, yeah, obviously 85 Paul Bliss self-spinning, tried to save that truck and just went around. So it's quite funny, and it's just he keeps dropping back, and it's just little mistakes. And when you come into the chase, that's what you don't need to do. But yeah, wrong place, wrong time again for Ivan Shum.
Interesting here, Tim Marlowe on pit lane, and a number of drivers here, Jake, staying out. Actually, the majority of drivers stay out. Ed Zaghetti stays out. Keith Stewart, Brent Keith, Doug Lemons, Christian Joyce. Actually, no, I take that back. Joyce is down on pit lane. Brent Day, most everyone coming, staying out here. This is interesting because I think this is the point where you would 100% want to come down pit lane and at least top up on fuel. As the 44 of Sidelove, who was locked down 1 lap a little bit earlier on, he's going to take the lucky dog here and get back on the lead lap. I think I would have assumed this is when you'd want to come down pit lane and get fueled. You know, 60 laps or so from here from the end. You can surely make it from here because you can do 50 to 60 on the cookie cutters. I think this is sort of pushing it. I think everyone staying out is anticipating the race keep doing what it's doing and to just continue to get yellow on yellow on yellow. I'm not sure if it goes to the end if a lot of these guys can make it.
Yeah, it's an interesting one right now that a lot of people have stayed out to try and see. That's going to actually drop Tim Marlowe down into that 10th spot, so that's a fair way down from where he was running up in that 1st spot. So that's going to be an interesting one there for Tim Marlowe. He's going to have Christian Joyce just behind him, and Jason Sidelove as well getting his lap back. We'll put him now back on that lead lap and see what he can do now in that 44 truck. But yeah, interesting call there from Tim Marlowe. Pretty much the only one besides, I think it would obviously be Ivan Shum, Timmy Logwell Jr., who are trying to still repair their trucks that would come down pit road last time around. Most of the other chasing contenders stayed out.
So Jake, I don't know if you're a gambling man, but how many more cautions are we going to have?
I reckon 1 or 2. Maybe 3.
1 or 2 dozen?
1 dozen at least.
Fair enough. So gonna be interesting. It's actually the 16 to Keith Stewart. If I just saw that right, he's yanking that thing back and forth. He actually picked that right front tire up off the ground. That truck is stiff.
Yeah, that's interesting seeing that, especially from that 16 truck. But he's done a lot of this stuff before in terms of tuning that race truck, so obviously doing a good job at finding the speed and just trying to figure out what he needs to do to get this restart on the 58 of Ed Zaghetti, because that truck, when it's in that 1st spot on that inside for a restart, it's been hard to sort of beat and sort of close the gap to. So himself and Brent Keith has made a good job right now sitting up in that 3rd spot. We haven't spoken much about Keith tonight, but from 11th up to 3rd, good job there from the Glovebox Racing truck. And Doug Lemons sitting there in 4th, and Brandon Holder, if we get to have an interview with him, I'm shocked, because that truck is so badly beaten up, but he has got so much pace in it that it'll be what could have been for that 31 at the moment.
Is there a truck in the field with straight body panels? Ed, Keith's got some damage, so that's been repaired. The 32 somehow looks clean. Granted, him and Jason drive through the field every week, so that doesn't surprise me.
I think that's it.
Yeah, I think that's, yeah. Lot of records here tonight. As pace, actually no, Jason got some damage with his truck. But that said, pace car onto pit lane. 58 events and Getty once again in charge of the field. The green flag flies, and that carbon machine gets left out to dry on the top side, which we've seen so far tonight. That's actually somewhat interesting to me, Jake, because everyone on every single restart has gone basically at the same point, and no one has been able to keep tabs with whoever's leading. It doesn't matter who it is, they open up this gap and going into 1 and 2 every single time.
Yeah, going into 1 and 2 every time they open up the gap. Case can actually set himself up in second, and Brandon Holder up into fourth as the 16 going to try and fight back as the 28 further in the field, sliding side by side with the 2 as the 16 side by side coming off of corner number 2. Going to try and see if he can get that job done, entering into 3, but the 32 got the run off the corner, still side by side, and Ed Seghetti is like, keep going side by side, boys, I'm going to leave you in the dust.
So side by side here for second. Actually, it was for a moment, but they get themselves single file. The 31 gets sent around once again. Jake just said he didn't want to talk to Brandon Holder, and the 28 of Marlowe gets a piece of it. A lot of damage on that 31 and the 28 as the yellow flies once again. Hard racing there between Holder and the 7011.
Yeah, hard racing. And I said I wanted to talk to him. I'd be shocked if we did because of the way his night has gone. And just the 70 drifted up in the middle of the corner. It got tight on him. And around he went. Oh, and the 28 got involved in that. Of all the trucks that got involved in that, the 28 of Tim Marlowe, a lot of front-end damage to that race truck. It just seems like they're trying to take each other out at the moment in terms of the fast race trucks. Because now the 31, more damage to the rear end of that truck that he only just got repaired.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate for him, as that's going to be big damage here, and that's, I think, going to be the nail in the coffin. He's going to need to get repairs, and I don't think there's going to be any way that he can come down and, well, run his way back to the field. But we're going to actually step away once again here on RaceSpotTV and iRacing Live. Don't go away, as we're going to continue coverage for sure. Going to be bringing you the last 50 laps here in just a few moments once we go back to green flag racing. Don't go away.
I actually, really enjoy dirt racing. Feels good to get in the car, and we have, great cars and engines and things at KKR, so it's nice to drive a fast sprint car.
Couple of separate lines developing, 3 wide action on a turn 2. Craig Kinzer, Casey Kane, and Kieran Pittman go at it.
I think the differences between, NASCAR and the sprint races on dirt is just a much different mindset. The way you drive your cars, the setup, the feel you're looking for. I think one of the hardest things to tell as a fan is when you're watching a race, whether it's a NASCAR race, a dirt race, is just what's really going on in the cars. With iRacing, you can get the way that the track's changing, which they've done a great job in how the track changes throughout the night or throughout the race, just to try to capture it and let the fans play it and realize, like, man, there's actually a lot going on, and you can't always see that when you watch a race. So I think it's pretty neat. It's, enjoyable for me, but at the end of the day, it's actually much of a simulation, and there's a lot of ways that you can learn from that. And early on, it was neat to look at the Cup tracks that I was going to, places that I had never been. So I think it kind of gives you a head start leading into a weekend. It's pretty real life, and that's pretty neat.
Welcome back here to RaceSpotTV and iRacing Live. The Operation Gratitude 200 by Yosemite Mountain Escape goes green, and it's a little bit of a better jump here from the front runners compared to your race leader, but still not very competitive. Brent Keith still in second place, doing a good job. He got a car up in the wall. I think that's Christian Joyce in the 36, and he needs to be careful not to come down in front of the field. We're going to stay green because of it, but not the way the 36 would have wanted to restart at this one.
Not the way he wanted to get going again on that restart. The 31 underneath him, the 3 as well of Ivan Trump, both with a lot of damage on those two chase contenders. Out in front though, the 16 now looking to the inside of the 32. This is for P number 2 out there on the racetrack. He's going to get his nose down there. Entering turn number 3 and going to get the job done for Keith Short. Now going to move himself up into that 16, into the second spot in that 16 truck behind him. Doug Lemon's going to see what he can do. And Belt Wilson now moved himself up inside the top number 5, and now side by side behind as well as Brent Day a long way up the racetrack as the 87 goes to the inside. Now Perry Snelson, bad exit from the 78 of Brent Day.
The 16 machine takes that second spot. Brent Keith sits third because of that. Lemons and Wilson sits in the 5th spot. That's one of the best runs I think, Jake, we've seen from that number 7 machine of Burt Wilson. You know, both him and Patterson teammates, they both tend to, you know, encounter bad luck, or really, you know, it's a good night for them when they get a top 10. Surprising to see one of those Evolution trucks up amongst the top 5.
Yeah, it's good to see Bert Wilson up there trying to see what he can do amongst it all, and he stayed out of trouble as the 6 looks to the inside at 87 of William Tony through 1 and 2, and he gets the nose down there, but not the run through the middle of the corner that he would have wanted. This is going to bring Paul Bliss, who had that self-spin a couple of laps ago, and then obviously again when he got into the back or into the front of the 3 of Ivan Trump, but the 85
78's around, Brent Day.
78 is around as the 7 actually got past the 70. Hopefully we stay green. We're still green at the moment as the 78 just trying to get back going. He's got back going again, and we're still green out on the racetrack. 6/10 is the gap to the race lead as Bert Wilson moves himself up into P number 4.
The 78 machine, just a little bit of a half spin there. No help whatsoever. Just lost it all on his own, but he did a good job to hold on to that thing as Perry Snelson continues to fight with William Tony, 85 of Paul Bliss. He's involved in this fight. Now caution flies deeper down the field. Oh, the big pileup, 42 of Patterson, the 31 is involved in another caution. Not sure what happened here, but a bit of a pileup.
It looks like a bit of an incident coming off of the corner. It looks like the 31 was to the inside, the 74. The 74 got loose and nowhere for the 31 to go, and a big wreck coming down with the 74. The
Didn't I just mention that Brad Patterson has bad luck and he just plowed into the 74?
Hey, it's wherever the incidents are, they managed to find Brad Patterson. He went to the inside to try and duck down underneath a boat, and obviously the 74 truck came down and covered that spot off.
He tried to do his best Cole Trickle impression, and it definitely didn't work out. That's unfortunate for the 42, because actually, I mean, overall, the 42 truck looked relatively straight. I mean, the front end was a little mangled and the rear end as well, but then again, so is everyone else out there. But that's unfortunate there for the 42 of Brad Patterson, is we're under caution for about the 47th time tonight.
Yeah, under caution once again, and Seghetti out in front, 40 laps to go. Hopefully we can get at least 10 of them under green flag conditions. The 16 in P number 2 is the 28 of Tim Marlowe getting his lap back, and it's been one of those nights, and that's just a showcase of it. The 28 has pretty much been the fastest truck out there besides Brandon Holder early on. Get caught involved in that incident before, and now just gets his lap back, and now he's going to try and work through 18 trucks in front of him.
Excuse me there as I fight off the cough just as Jake throws it to me. And Jake, I'm actually curious, you know, I know you're a little bit more experienced, you know, running in some Aussie truck leagues and doing rather well. Running at night, we're used to seeing a lot of grip in these trucks. What is it, you know, what do you think it might be that's causing people to be fighting for traction the way they are? What could it be in the setup? You know, because it's a really cool night tonight. What do you think might be causing that?
There's a lot that could be causing it, and it depends on what people are running. Obviously, we're seeing the same people and sort of the same stables of people spinning, so it could be something in the setup that's made it actually ultra loose. And a lot of the time, if you're going for a longer run truck, you're actually going to make the truck looser early on because you want to keep it looser later, if that makes sense. Especially when the tires wear off. You don't want an understeery truck, especially around here at Richmond. You don't want the truck to plow through the middle of the corners, and evident.
The night
through
we've
1 and
seen
2.
tonight, you might want a tight race truck.
Yeah, tonight, and that's the case. If I was to come down pit road and make some adjustments on the truck that I could under the pit stops to try and make the truck tighter for a shorter run, because you know that's where it's heading for the night. Obviously, the guys wouldn't have realized that was going to be the case, so they would have set up for a longer run truck. I know that's what I would have set up for if I was in that situation. So it would have been try and make the truck a little bit looser in the first couple of laps, but then it sort of steadies itself out so that for the duration of the run you don't have a tight truck. Because if you have a tight truck, it's dreadful to drive. So that's what these guys, I think, were working towards, and now people are just trying to tone it down a little bit, tone that looseness out of the truck, but you still want it there. Because if you just go straight tight from the word go, you're going to go straight tight towards the end. Even though you're losing grip, obviously you lose the front end grip as well, which plows the truck through the middle of the corner. Then coming off the corner, obviously trying to put the power down, it's even harder again. So it's a counterbalance of what you've got to try and do with these race trucks out there, and these guys are trying to find that balance right now. And right now the lights are out and the pace goes, so we should be able to go green next time around.
Jake, before we go back to green here, inside of 40 laps to go, what do you think of the chances we finish this race under green? Not necessarily from here.
I have high hopes we'll finish under green. Just how we get there, I don't know. But it's going to be an interesting one, especially with the way these guys are lining up.
So 160 laps down here, the pace car getting ready to come down back onto pit road. Ed Zaghetti basically been the dominant truck of the night. Other drivers have looked strong, the 31, the 28, but they've fallen into bad luck, and they are way down the order now. Ed Zaghetti gets on that go pedal early and runs the field down into corner number 1 and 2. 16 to Keith Stewart will continue his fight with Brent Keith here as they run through 1 and 2 side by side. Keith Stewart on the top side, and those tires are brand new, so they're not going to work that well up top just yet. Going to have to be a handful of laps where that top side gets really strong.
Good, see what he can do on that high side, but at 32 still keeping it tough down there. The 85 of Paul Bliss getting past Bert Wilson just behind them as well. So the 16, the 32 still side by side, but the 16 through 1 and 2 using that outside line, going to get that momentum off the turn 2 and hold the position. The 70 now having a look to see what he can do as the 6 now works his way past the 7 just behind.
A lot of side-by-side racing, which is what you come to expect here at Richmond, as the 58 of Ed Zaghetti has himself a sizable gap over Keith Stewart already. 7/10 of a second last time through, and then it's a couple tenths further back to Brent Keith. But look at the gaggle of trucks. Once you get past that 32, Jake, it's, you know, relatively spread out in single file amongst the top few, but then you get from about the 70 all the way back to about 20th spot, and it's just one long train of machines right now.
Yeah, one long train right now amongst it. The 6 still side by side with Paul Bliss coming off the turn 2. Bobby Everhart's actually now looking to the inside of the 7. The 7 gives him room. Just didn't want to shut the door. He thought about it though, but he's going to give him the room to be able to get the job done. The 87 having a look behind as well. That is William Toney to the inside of the 71. The 71 braked really deep, as actually the 7 just went deep into the turn number 1 and 2 as the 7. Oh, a little bit of contact behind. Ivan Schramm involved in the 29 as well once again. Around those two go, and that's another caution for tonight.
So as we approach 30 laps to go, another big incident. There's a lot of trucks involved in this one. Holy smokes. Here as they work themselves down the back straight. The 3 and the 29 got a little bit of an incident there. And not really sure what happened there. The 29 and Sean Ryan almost seems like he may have came down on the 3 machine. He sort of tried to, I think Sean was trying to get under James Torrey, and the 3 machine was trying to track out, and they came together because of that. But that caused a pretty big pileup, and I think that might have ended Ivan's night for sure.
Yeah, Ivan, a lot of damage there. The 36 getting a piece of it as well. The 92, Timmy Logwood Jr., the 62, Doc Stout, he's got a lot of damage, and as well as the 22 getting a piece of that at the end of it. So a lot of damage for a lot of those race trucks, and a couple of chase contenders once again. Do we have any out there still on the racetrack? It seems like we've been talking about most of them.
Ed, Keith, Brent, Doug.
Yeah, the ones that are out in front, the top 5, there's your chase contenders.
Jason.
But yeah, it's been one of those nights where they've been getting into a lot of incidents, and the 3 staying out there, going to try and see what he can do. He's right now in front of Brandon Holder, so it's interesting to see that. Might run down some points because it's definitely going to shake up the championship now for this round.
See, I don't blame Ivan in a bit for this, because he's going to be restarting from the back regardless. He's got so much damage that Honestly, he's been caught up in so many incidents that I don't think there's any way that pit crew is going to be able to get all the damage repaired on that thing. And I think at him is just, you know, at this point is trying to retain any track position you can, because it is just, you know, I think right now if you're one of these drivers, like I feel like no one's expecting a 30-lap run to the finish here.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's expecting the 30-lap run to the end, but we could get it if we do. It'd be awesome to see what they can do now, especially with all the different strategies that are going on out there on the racetrack. But we'll see how it plays out. I definitely don't think this will be the final caution of the night, but a good strong run from these guys out there on the racetrack out in front from Ed Zaghetti. He has been pretty much dynamite out there on the restarts and has been helping him. And 16 to Keith Stewart, I'm surprised he's been keeping him honest. It's an interesting run there from the 16 to Keith, especially from our point of view. Randy is already locked in, but he's still managing just to sort of stay out of the trouble, really.
Yeah, he has, but that said, Keith, you know, it is a surprise. Keith's never really been one who's been super strong in the short track, so that's not to imply that he's been bad, but, you know, generally not one of those drivers that you'd poke as one of the short track drivers. He did have a good run at Phoenix a couple seasons ago, but normally kind of a specialist either on the road courses or, if anything, on the standard kind of 1.5 milers, sort of more standard racetracks, and occasionally Darlington. But I don't know. This is going to be a weird finish. It's so hard to predict what might happen here because the 58's been so strong. But that said, I think as we get closer and closer to the end of this race, people are going to be more aggressive on the restarts. And while Brent Keith and Keith Stewart, generally a little bit more level-headed guys, I think we might see an incident up front here as we approach 20 laps to go.
You said it, not me. But you're the one that jinxed the front end of the field. I hope we don't. I really hope we go green for the rest of the way, but it's been that way.
The front end of the field's already been jinxed. Brandon and Tim and Randall and Ivan.
They've been fighting so hard there out on the racetrack. It's just, it's one of those races as the lights go out and they're going to double them up once again. But it's interesting. You've got Ed Zaghetti, Keith Stewart, Brent Keith, Doug Lemons. That's top 4 chase contenders. Jason Sizlove, the next one, sitting down in the 9th spot. Then Tim Marlowe just behind him trying to rebound. And Ivan Trum as well on that inside line with Brandon Holder, who has just been surviving and picking up spots as he goes along. But we'll see what happens here. Hopefully we get a long green flag run to maybe get us within the end of the race.
Inside of 30 laps to go. Light is at the end of the tunnel. Green flag flies in the 58 of Ed Zaghetti. He says, I do not want to be caught up in that incident that Randy just caused. Running down now into 1 and 2 they go. Ed has a big gap and a good restart actually from Keith Stewart to get clear of Brent Keith. First side by side between the 85 and the 70. Paul clips that rear apron, or excuse me, clips the apron off of 2. Because of that, he has to lift way out of it. Now Snelson will look on the top side.
Snelson having a look, but Bobby Everhart's actually going to have a look. Good strong run from the 71 truck as well. The 44 is going to try and follow them through and see what he can do as the 85 shuts the door to that inside line. So the 71 can't get a big head of momentum off the corner. The 6 though struggling on the high side. A little bit of damage to Perry Snelson's truck and it's hurting him at the moment. The 71 though has a look on the 85. Thought about a move into turn number 3, but gets the grip off of the corner and he's going to capitalize. Goes down the inside, entering turn number 1, and Bobby Everhart moves himself into the top 5. Does he? The 85 is going to play tough on the outside, but I think the 71 is going to shut the door as the 85 gets a little bit loose.
He got a little bit loose and almost clipped that wall. Now the 44 side left. He wants something to say about this. We've not seen these two run strong of Brent Keith and Jason Sidelove. They've had good seasons, but we've not seen them generally up amongst the top 5. Generally, they're good on getting top 10s every single week. Here as one of them runs 3rd and the other one runs 6th. And Jason Sidelove looks to chase down Bobby Everhart to put himself in the top 5.
Yeah, as Marlowe actually got a piece of the wall coming off of turn 2. That's not the first time he's done that this season. Not the last time I think he will, but he gives himself his own Darlington stripe at Richmond this time down, coming off of turn number 2. So he's now fighting with the 31 and the 3 for a top 10 spot at the moment between these 3. And I don't think we would have been saying that at the start of the night with the way these guys have been running, but it just goes to show, look at the race straps, and that's why they're fighting down there just inside that top 10.
A lot of trucks that are mangled out there as we're approaching 20 laps to go. Top handful of spots spread out. Top 4 as they run.
Oh, sorry to interrupt you, Randy. Ivan sideways through 1 and 2, and he's going to actually lose it around. He was sliding the entire corner, and then he just lost it on the exit, and around it goes for another caution.
See, and this actually, I mean, this looks like it might have been wheel hop once again. We saw him do this going into the 3rd corner a little bit earlier on. I don't think he was going for a gap, but it looks like he just locked up that rear tire, got a little bit of wheel hop, and when that happened, just got a little bit loose in the 28. I believe that was the 7, did a good job to basically split the difference and put him up the middle. So another little caution, another self-spin here. No major damage though, but you know, the only person that's going to be really upset is that 3 of Ivan Trum. Is that's about the 7th or 8th time he's been involved with the yellow. This time he's the cause of it.
Yeah, another issue there for the 3, and it's just a little bit of a mistake going into 1 and 2, just locked the rears and around it went. And he did a good job trying to save that race truck. He nearly drifted that whole 1 and 2 corner just to try and save it as he comes down the pit road, obviously to get some 4 fresh tyres on that truck, because that would have hurt those tyres a lot. And he's going to try and see what he can do from there. 20 laps to go. That's actually not a bad time to get some fresh tyres and see what you can do. Out in front though, they're all going to stay out and try and avoid any drama behind.
Yeah, track position is pretty much king right now. I believe James Hickson, he's going to cycle himself through, and he's going to get the lucky dog. He's 6 laps down, so he's getting a lap back, but not getting back on the lead lap. But 20 laps, 6 laps down, he might be able to get lucky dog himself back to the lead lap if it keeps up as it has been, Jake.
I don't think we'll get that many cautions, but we may get close, to be fair. He may be able to end up 4 or 3 laps down, but definitely, it's been one of those nights, and a lot of people have actually been able to save themselves by getting the lucky dog and actually be able to put themselves in a position to get some more spots. I Brandon Holder, Tim Barlow got the lucky dog just before. Yeah, Ivan as well. He's got it as well. So Jason Sizeup as well. Got to remember, he was trapped 1 lap down a long time ago. Now he's running in 6th. So it just goes to show just perseverance right now out there tonight at Richmond has definitely paid off.
So question marks ablaze here as we're inside 20 laps to go, and Lord only knows what we're gonna see here in the last handful of laps. I think everyone's favorite right now has to be Ed Zaghetti, but what do you think Keith is gonna be able to fight with Brent? They've been swapping that 2nd and 3rd spot basically every single restart. Brent will restart 2nd, and then Bobby will get through on the inside, and then he'll restart in 2nd, and Brent will get back through on the inside. Who do you think is gonna hold on to it?
It's difficult. I think Keith has the ultimate, and Keith Stewart has the ultimate pace advantage in that 2nd spot, but Brent Keith, he just manages to glove box racing, managed to find something towards the end of the race. It always happens, and that's how they manage to find their way through and make sure that both of those guys are in the chase at the moment, Jason Sizeup and Brent Keith. They just manage to put themselves in the right position, be calm, be patient, and get themselves to where they need to be and have a truck to do so. So I definitely think it's up in the air. I think Lemons is sort of comfortable with that 4th spot. I don't think he has the pace in the top 3, and it's interesting he just doesn't. As Jason Sizeup, did he just have a malfunction then? Because he just dropped to the inside wall. And I hope this isn't the case, because it's such a strong run for Jason Sizeup, and he's still, it looks like maybe he has had a technical issue because he's stuck on the back stretch on the inside wall.
I think he had a monitor issue. That's what that looks like to me. It doesn't look like a wheel, because if his wheel would have died, what would have happened is that he would have just turned really sharp. I think he might have just had a monitor go out or a black screen or something. Oh man, that's heartbreaking for the 44.
Such a strong run from the 44. Getting that lap back to work your way inside, pretty much inside the top 10 comfortably, and to have something like that, you should be okay to finish. Sean M. Ryan's out there on the racetrack, so Sean M. Ryan's actually in the pit lane, so he may actually only drop to 19th, which isn't so bad, but the field's doubled up, getting ready for a restart.
Lights out on the pace car, 15 laps to go. Can we do it under green? Ed Zaghetti gets on that go pedal and gets the big gap we've seen him get thus far. Brent Keith looks to slot up the inside of his new rival of Keith Stewart as they go side by side, but no, Keith's gonna fight back on the outside, but he pushes too hard on entry, and the 32 gets a run down on that inside groove, and they're gonna go side by side for 2nd here. Brent Keith fighting as hard as he can to try to keep it down to the bottom.
Yeah, still side by side, and Keith's going to get the job done entering turn 1, but I think Keith Stewart, he's going to fight hard on that outside to try and see what he can do, but no, Stewart's going to have to relinquish that spot. He may even lose the spot to Doug Lemons, and here I was saying Lemons might be comfortable running in 4th. He wants that 3rd spot, and he's going to pick up that spot going through past Keith Stewart, as Bobby Everhart has a look to the inside of Stewart as well. Stewart to the inside of Lemons entering turn number 1. He shows the nose and the 7. He gives him the spot back, and through up into P number 3 goes that 16 Cura Custom Shop.
I think Keith Stewart's going to be really happy about that, knowing that the sort of speed that Doug Lemons normally has on these short tracks, a lot of people were picking him to maybe take a win at the 85 of Paul Bliss. He stays in the Cool Kids Club and does a half spin down the front straightaway, down in the grass, so the green flag will still stay out. No caution here, but heartbreak for the 85. He was 6th at the time.
Paul Bliss had such a strong truck up there tonight, and another half self-spin off of turn number 4 is going to hurt him, as out in front Ed Zaghetti is just pulling away 9/10 of a second over Brent Keith. But remember, Keith, obviously the top 4 haven't pitted. The first truck on fresh rubber is actually Bubba Everhart. He pitted 41 laps ago on that 71 truck. Behind them, Perry Snelson as well. He pitted 50 laps ago. So those trucks have fresher tires compared to these guys out in front. Let's see what they can do with Ed Zaghetti right now. Still just holding on to that race lead. Half a tenth went the way of Brent Keith last time round.
10 laps to go when they come across the stripe this time through. Keith Stewart and Brent Keith still fighting so close. Me and Jake can just be lazy and just say Keith as they fight here for that second spot as they go running into 1 and 2. 10 laps to go. 190 logged into the books. A lot of them under caution here. They bring themselves down that back straightaway. Close fights a little bit deeper down the order though. 20 to Tim Marlowe. He finds himself up in 7th. Ivan Schrum is in 9th. William Tony and Burt Wilson, they're fighting for this final 10th spot as Brandon Holder. He might be able to get himself there if he can pick up the pace just a little bit. A top 10 just out of reach currently.
Oh, Marlowe around. Somehow he has saved it. I think he got a little bit of a help there from the 2. He did a half spin. He's back out there. He didn't really lost about a handful of spots. That's actually going to drop into outside of the top 10, and Brandon Holder's going to have a look to the inside. But through 1 and 2, a little bit of contact between himself and James Torrey and sent him around, and we got a caution out there on the racetrack.
So another caution flies here, and this is going to make things very, very interesting. Not sure I see
63 at Glenn Jameson coming through turn number 4 by the looks of it. Yeah,
that's
just
pretty
another
much
half
same old deal. Yep, same old here. Another truck lost that rear end coming to corner number 4, but this is going to set us up for a shootout. And now here's the question mark.
Very close shootout as well.
Well, here's the question mark. Do you take tires? Nope.
No. Personally, no.
That was the of no.
Yeah, it's one of those things. You're sort of looking at who's out there on older rubber. Bobby Everhart's on 40-odd lap tires as well. Perry Snelson, the same 50-odd lap tires. Your best bet, Ivan Schrum, who's only just come down pit road, obviously 13 laps ago. He is the fresher rubber, and he's down in 8th, but he's with a bent race truck, so I'd stay out.
So a lot of question marks here. We're going to get, what, about 6 laps, you think? No, going to be less than that. We're already inside. We're 6 laps to go right now. Give me about, what, probably 3?
Yeah, around about 3 odd laps to go. I think 3, maybe he had actually green-white checkered as well. The good old-fashioned green-white checkered actually coming out tonight, because I think that's going to be pretty close to what it's going to be by the time they actually cycle through and get them back going again.
There goes James Hickson getting another lap back. He'll be down to 4, so I predicted him to get back on the lead lap, and I was a little bit off. One more caution, I'll be halfway right. And, well, that's good enough for me. If I can be right half the time, which I never am, it can be good enough. But lights should stay on this time, and I think they'll go off next time through here. So, for the picks here, Jake, Ed's looked strong all night. The few, green flag runs we've had, he's pretty much been uncontested outside of the 28 and the 31, and they're both out of the picture. I think the 4 of Randall Falks would have had something for this race win tonight if he didn't get caught up in that big incident early on. But I think Ed's the favorite, but it's sort of, now the fight's going to be on for second. We've seen Brent and Bobby trade these spots back and forth all night, and Bobby's going to find himself on the inside groove late on the restart. And generally, whoever's restarted 3rd between these two picks up the 2nd spot each time.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be interesting to see whether Keith should be able to hold on for that 3rd spot. But Bobby Everhart, he's actually got fresher rubber compared to everyone around him. I know he might not have the ultimate car speed, and he's got a pretty beaten up race truck out there, but he is got the fresher rubber among this top 5. He'll be starting on that inside, and Perry Snelson as well has got some fresh rubber on that racetrack. So see what they can do. Obviously the rubber's 50 odd laps old, but if we get this green, which I think it's going to be a a green white checkered, I think, Randy. I think we're going to be going on lap 199, and we'll be finishing it up at the end of lap 200.
So, one thing also to keep in mind, those who are part of the Jason Seisler fan club, he is now back out on the race truck. He's slotted behind James Hickson, currently in 19, so he should be able to limp that number 44, and hopefully whatever technical gremlin crept up for him, he should hopefully have that solved and be able to at least come home and get some good points here tonight. Actually, he doesn't even need to. He wouldn't fall down any more spots. There's only a handful of spots left, and Glenn Jameson's 9 laps down behind him, so... But that said, lights go out. You're absolutely right, Jake. Green next time by, white on lap number 200. Who says iRacing doesn't have the green-white checker?
Yeah, who says iRacing doesn't? Because it manages to always work out that way. And right now, hopefully, it's going to be a good green-white check in here. Zaghetti, he's in the box seat, isn't he, Randy? His restarts have been perfect, and he's going to be restarting this last one to get it to the end.
Ed's in the box seat for sure. And if you're a gambler, man, well, place your bets. 3/4 of a mile is what separates us from a green finish or potentially a yellow one. If they make it 1 lap, it will be a guaranteed finish under green. 58 of Etzigetti gets on that go pedal. Final time will get a restart. Then he gets a good jump. The fight's going to be on for second between the 16 and the 32. Into 1 and 2 for the penultimate time here. And Keith Stewart drives it indeed. Brett Keith going to be isolated to the middle of the racetrack, and that Curl Carbon truck gets that second spot. Down the back straightaway into 3 and 4 for the penultimate time. Up and off the corner they come, and Everhart's, he pushed his way up the racetrack behind. White flag in the air. We will finish under green tonight. The 16 and the 32 continue to fight for that second spot. Through 1 and 2 they come, down the back straightaway for the final time. Brett Keith has the spot, the 16 machine. I don't think he's gonna have a position. I think they're wrecking in the back, but we're gonna finish under green regardless. As coming off turn number 4, Ed Zaghetti's gonna win, and in second spot we're gonna see Brett Keith, but I think Keith Stewart may have just lost out on that top 3 to Doug Lemons. I think he scraped that wall coming off, but we had a bit of an incident in the background, and we had another big pileup as they come to the stripe.
A big incident off of turn 4, big wreck coming off of turn 2, a lot of incidents coming to the end, everyone fighting for those positions. But
hey look,
Zaghetti
Ivan Shrum was in another incident.
Zaghetti gets the spot. Keith coming home in P2, strong run from Glovebox tonight. Keith Stewart coming home in that 4th spot, but Zaghetti, he had a quick truck. And he just managed to play the strategy right all night long.
Hey, look, Brandon Holder also in another. Those are the 2 people. I think they've been in like every caution tonight. But the 31 and the 85, they were coming off that second corner together side by side. That was the first incident we saw down the back straightaway. And then the second one happened a little bit out in front. They were actually 3 wide in front of the Ivan. And actually, I think there's 2 separate moments. James Torrey and Bobby Everhart got into each other. And the 3 machine just caught the back end of Tim Marlowe. And those 2 little minor incidents, sort of became a big one. And well, fireworks go in the air, fireworks on the track all night.
Yeah, it's been one of those nights out there, and a lot of incidents, and yeah, everyone just fighting hard for those final couple of spots, getting involved in at the end. But it's one of those things that you can't really avoid coming to the end. But Zaghetti burned him down, and well-deserved victory, locks himself in that top 8.
So let's go down your post-race results here live from Richmond and the Operation Gratitude 200 by Yosemite Mountain Escapes. Run time of 1 hour and 50 minutes, and Ed Zaghetti takes the win. Brent Keith 2nd, Doug Lemons 3rd. Keith Stewart, I think had a chance at a top 2, definitely a top 3, and he sort of threw it away. Caught that wall coming off corner number 4 and handed that place to Doug. Perry Snelson rounds out your top 5. One of the best finishes of the season for him. William Toney 6th, Tim Marlowe 7th, James Torrey 8th, Everhart 9th, and Logwood Jr. round out the top 10. Everett Lane 11th, Joyce 12th, Brent Dade 13th, Burt Wilson 14th, Ivan Shrum 15th, and Paul Bliss rounds out your top 16. Those are the drivers who finished on the lead lap. Brandon Holder will come home 1 lap down in 17th. Then you got James Hickson in 18th, Sislov 19th, and Glenn Jameson rounds out the top 20. And these are the drivers that really had bad days tonight. A huge number of laps down. Sean Ryan, Doc Stout, Brad Patterson, Tim McQueen, Ryan Lang, Abe Bowden, Randall Falks, Chris Jennings, and Aaron Ames. Don't go away. We'll be right back with post-race coverage and the interviews from the top 3 here in just a moment. Don't go away. Welcome back to RaceSpotTV and iRacing Live as post-race coverage gets underway here for your Operation Gratitude 200 by Yosemite Mountain Escapes. And well, let's just get it started. We'll be joined by Keith Stewart as well as race winner Ed Zaghetti. And while Keith, Chris Jennings is the race sponsor for this one, but he is currently MIA, so you get the honors once again. What do you got to say that number 58 machine? He was out front pretty much most of the day.
Yeah, congratulations, Ed. That locks you into the second round of the chase, man. That's a great accomplishment. Richmond's an interesting track for the series, to say the least. But you made some great decisions there, and it kept you out in front when it mattered. And you also had a fast truck. I don't think I really had anything for it, as hard as I tried. But great run on behalf of Yosemite Mountain Escapes, and yeah. Chris Jennings, I had to remember his name there. He couldn't be here, apparently he had a rough night. So congratulations on your win of the Operation Gratitude 200.
Oh, thank you, Keith. Really appreciate it, man.
Ed, thanks for joining us. And you were so strong all night, qualified in third, and you're just one of those drivers who could just quietly lurk up at the front. It was just sort of, you know, strategically you were on a different strategy than a lot of the rest of the field, but you and your teammates were really, at least at the start. Ivan got thrown on different strategy because he's proceeded to get caught up in every caution that flew basically in the last 70 laps. But you were one of those drivers that earlier on, when people were coming down pit lane after 10 laps, 15 laps, you were staying out. How good was that 58 machine on the old tires?
It was really good. It was actually a little bit, it drove a little bit better after about 15, 20 laps, 30 laps on it. And so I figured, well, you know what? I don't want to go to the back, and I don't want to take any chances. So I figured, well, I'll just stay up front. What's the worst that can happen? I can lose two positions, 3 positions. Not bad.
In a race like this, losing a couple spots can be huge, especially a lot of issues that people were having. How nerve-wracking was it when you eventually decided to come down pit lane and get tires, get fuel? You know, how stressful of a decision is that to pit from the lead, knowing that having a race like this that's filled with so many yellows, knowing that you could get caught up in something that takes a potentially one race and throws it away?
Yeah, I was nervous. I talked to my crew chief, and we were at one point where we just said, you know what, if they, you know, we're going to go and just do it, and it is what it is, and everybody came with us. So.
Well, thanks for joining us, Ed. Congratulations on the big win, getting yourself into the next round of the chase. Before we let you go, who gets it done for that Full Throttle Motorsports number 58?
I want to thank my teammates. First and foremost, they a lot of knowledge this week we spent on it. Also, I want to thank Keith for everything he does, and Raven Grafixx, Yosemite Mountain Escapes, you know, GBR as always. And you guys, you know, it's been a great year, and this just tops it off.
Thanks for joining us, Ed. Next couple weeks, I know, sort of just a formality for you, but hope to see you run strong in a few weeks' time.
Thank you.
So moving on down the line, Jake, you're stood by with 32 of Brent Keith, maybe one of the surprises of the night.
Yeah, another big surprise down in that second spot, and Brent Keith. It's been a while, but really strong run. Finally, you guys actually qualify, and it seemed to pay out for the most part. Unfortunate there for Jason. Obviously, it looks like he had a monitor or something go out on him there at the end.
Yeah, is locked up tight, so yeah.
Yeah, you guys were so strong though throughout. Tell us about your night.
Well, I was hoping. I mean, we were hoping for long runs, obviously, like we always do every week, and it wasn't to be, obviously, and feel kind of fortunate coming out of there with a second place finish. You know, it really 40, 50, 60 lap runs was what we were looking for, obviously. It wasn't to be, obviously. But hats off to Ed. Boy, those restarts, he'd get out, and then he would match your pace. He could not, I couldn't get to it. I drove it as hard as I could, so hats off to him. That's pretty cool. Ed's a good guy.
Yeah, it's good to see Ed getting the win and locking himself in, but the strong run from you tonight. You had a good battle there with Keith as well. It was non-stop, and then Doug decided to mix it up there at the end. did you have just that a little bit more than Keith? Because I mean, Randy and I have spoke about it as well. Every time, say, Keith was sort of starting third, he would get the jump, and then with you, Brent, like if you were starting third, you'd get the second spot. Sort of kept swapping that way. But do you think you maybe overall you guys were sort of evenly matched, and that's why we kept seeing that really hard battle between you two, or was it just a little bit of more pace?
I do. We were pretty even there. My truck wouldn't go on cold tires. You know, we'd pace and pace and pace. Tires would cool down, and it just wouldn't go. So I had to fight, and then toward the end there, I was thinking, you know, he had a quicker truck at the get-go, so I would almost get in line go, because if Keith wins, he's already locked into the second round because of the overall championship. So if he would have won, that would only be one guy still locked in the second round. So we'd point race out. That's what I was. If I couldn't win, I was wanting Keith to get up there and win. No offense, Ed. But, you know, because only one guy would be locked in. So it was a juggling act, you know, and finally just got to go. We got to run it hard and try not to wreck it coming off turn 4, you know. So it worked out.
It definitely worked out, and unfortunate for what happened to Jason. Otherwise, you would have had both trucks definitely inside that top 10 tonight. But well done again, Brent, on a really strong start to your chase. Obviously, next week, Sonoma, that's going to be interesting. But any shout-outs before we let you go? Absolutely.
Doyle with Raven Grafixx for the title sponsor for making this happen, along with Mr. Jennings there with Yosemite Mountain Escapes for the race sponsor. You know, several race sponsors throughout the year. That's very nice. You guys at RaceSpot for burning the candle at both ends tonight, looks like. Jeez. A marathon race. And my guys at Glovebox, we put a lot of laps in this week for obviously starting, and just we like the shorter track, so it wasn't too much of an issue. So that was, I actually enjoyed the week. But and Doug running me clean there, starting behind me, and everybody out there, you know, congratulations, Dad. It's good to see.
Yeah, definitely one of our normal endurance races tonight. But well done again, Brent, and hopefully you can have a strong run next week.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, and that was Brent Keith coming home in that P number 2, and we're going to move on with Randy, who's going to be stood by with Doug Lemons in the P number 3.
Yeah, I'm stood by with Doug. Doug, good strong run for you in that number 70 night, finishing third, but I think a lot of people may have pegged you as sort of the favorite coming into this one based on your performance at Milwaukee and your performance in the past with the short tracks. Were you expecting to, you know, maybe be one of the stronger trucks being able to run for the win, or did you know people like Ed and Brandon and Ivan would be as fast as they were?
Well, first of all, I'd like to apologize to Brandon Holder for taking him out. He needs to hear that. Yeah, I just missed the tune a little bit. I didn't expect the weather that we got. I expected a little bit more humidity, and, well, I just missed it a little bit. That's all I can say.
Could that maybe be why we saw so many people having problems? Because really, we had a lot of cautions tonight, but the vast majority of them, they weren't even people, you know, they weren't racing incidents. They were people just losing the back end. Is that something, you know, that may have played a part, or?
Oh, yeah. Well, I can tell you that I had so much rear brake in my truck to get it to rotate through the center. I have never used that much rear brake at any racetrack before. So I'm sure it had something to do with a lot of people not keeping the truck under them.
Doug, going into next week at Sonoma, you don't lock yourself into the chase just yet. That's going to be Ed that punches himself here in the first round. But going into the next round at Sonoma, you are one of the stars on the road courses. You think you can get the job done there?
Well, believe me, I'll certainly try. I've been practicing there. I can get around that place. The biggest thing to that place is staying on the track. You know, just if you just stay on the track, you'll do just fine.
Well, thanks for joining us, Doug. Congratulations on a big top 3 finish. Even though you don't punch away into the chase, that's going to be a good buffer for you, especially the fact that people like Jennings and Falk, so many people had bad finishes tonight who were up in that chase. But who gets it done for that number 70? Who gets it? Who'd you like to thank?
Well, I'd like to thank my teammate Perry. He helped out a lot this week. Also, Glove Box Racing, we worked together. I'd like to thank Yosemite Mountain Escapes for what they do, Raven Grafixx for what he does, and T. Stewart for doing what he does, and you guys for doing what you do. It's great.
Thanks to everyone and what they do.
That's right.
Oh, man. Well, thanks a lot, Doug. Hope to see you run strong next week at Sonoma.
All right. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Well, Jake, that pretty much puts a cap on a long, long night of racing. How do we come up with a Boss Dog award after a night like this?
I don't even know how we do, but I have one in mind. I don't know whether you do, but my Boss Dog has to be Brent Keith, to be fair. He just drove a race to stay out of trouble. It's really... I know... I'm
sold.
Pardon me. I know Zaghetti obviously won the race and did a really good job out there in front and played the strategy card, but he did have a quick truck. I just think Keith did a really good job tonight, so that's my
The
call
only
on
other
that
person
one.
I can think of is the flagman for controlling this race all night long.
Yeah, it's been one of those ones. But Doug Lemons, actually, I don't think he should be... While we've been talking and that going on, I was actually running through points and adding up points from how they were. So obviously, Zaghetti's now locked himself in the chase. Lemons will now be leading the rest of the field, and it is mighty close. He is on 2039. Marlowe and Keith are actually on the same points for the equal second for the rest of everyone else on 2035. Then 2033, another 2 points back, is only Brandon Holder. So it may have been a bad day, but it's sort of brought everyone really close. Strum, then Logwood Jr. are locked in at the moment on points. 7 points on the outside looking in. Randolph Folks, 1 point behind him is Jason Sizov. Jameson, another 2 points back, and then Jennings, another 3 points back from Jameson. So at the moment, there's a lot of guys that could actually lock themselves in, and it's very tight. So massive shake-up will come next week.
Super close racing right now, and 2 interesting races to go in the first round of the chase, Sonoma and Darlington. And while we look forward to that, we're going to put a cap on this one and say thank you for joining us tonight and tuning into this version of RaceSpotTV and iRacing Live and the Raven Grafixx and eSpeed Contender Series and the Operation Gratitude 200 by Yosemite Mountain Escapes. Huge thanks to all our sponsors. Huge thanks to everyone at RaceSpotTV and iRacing Live. Be sure to join us next week when this series goes to Sonoma. That's surely going to be a fun one. Let's just put it that way. Till then, see you next time. Bye-bye.